Ever been watching the ALGS or your favorite Apex Legends streamer and heard them saying things like,
Hacked one! Gatekeep this team, that's gonna be Pierre the Rat.
and wonder, what are they talking about? We wanted to take a moment to shine a light on some of the most common terms you might be hearing and wondering about as the newest season of the ALGS kicks off.
This is gonna be fun, brother.
Crack, no! He's cracked. Cracked!
Cracked, or flesh, is something you'll often hear when a player informs his teammates that he has eliminated the armor of an enemy and they are now vulnerable.
Wraith is cracked, man.
In the game, this is accompanied by a satisfying sound.
Crack at in there.
I kidnap two, okay, I kidnap two.
He's again and he gets another kidnap!
Kidnap is a sneaky tactical maneuver in which a Wraith player will use their ultimate to make a dimensional tunnel to an enemy team's location with the goal of having an enemy accidentally get sucked into the tunnel and be whisked away to their deaths at the other end.
This third party central.
We're gonna have to third them.
Here comes the third party!
Third partying in Apex Legends is a situation where two squads are fighting each other and another squad decides to join in, usually waiting until one team has been eliminated and the surviving team is licking its wounds. As you can imagine, this is about as welcome as someone cutting in on your dance or showing up when your party is over. But for the team doing the third partying, it could be a blast.
Let's go, man!
This has been some perfect gatekeeping.
Great job gatekeeping this squad. TSM are one of the...
Gatekeeping is a tactic in Apex Legends where teams take strategic advantage of choke points on the maps, choosing passages where teams will most likely need to go to escape the encroaching ring or other pursuers. Teams will often set traps or barriers as they lay in wait, spider-like, for their prey.
So this is actually a great rat spot. High tier ratting right now.
Devious rat strat.
Rat, also known as rat strats, are when a player is the last living member of the team and chooses to strategically hide with the intention to gain them placement points. The goal is simply to outlive and outlast opponents, whether it is by shadowing a more aggressive team, finding a corner, or a bush to hide in, or just finding a place that's difficult to assault. Ratting can even sometimes result in a surprising solo win. While this barely scratches the surface of all the insider language players and casters used in-game, we hope this short list of player slang will help you follow all of the upcoming action with your favorite streamers and in the Apex Legends Global
Halloween may be about ghosts and goblins, but those friends got nothing on the scary squads of North America's Groups A and C. Hello and welcome to the Apex Legends Global Series Pro League. I'm Kat Yeager alongside, oh gosh darn, Axel Gaskin and cool guy Hipster on set. Oh my, it's what
it's
it
a cool
is
guy,
today.
Kate.
Welcome to Halloween. Cool guy indeed. Actually, so like, okay, Hipster on set. Hipster's not known for their hype, I would say, but let's talk a little bit about what's getting you hyped for today's NA competition.
I mean, it's going to be amazing. Let's be real. This is going to be arguably one of the biggest weeks in Pro League for North America. And some of the teams we have in this lobby, the biggest teams that we have in the game, they are nuts. And some of them have been performing really well. Some of them haven't been performing very well. And some of them really need to start performing well. So it's going to be an amazing day of action.
Axel?
Hey, how's it going, everyone? Yeah, I'm really looking forward to today. NA had me hyped yesterday, some amazing plays. And, I mean, when you see this lobby, if you don't know who the lobby is already, it's just mouth-watering. Honestly, it gets me going. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome.
Excellent. Well, let's not wait to take a look back as we look forward here today. Let's take a look back at how NA performed Groups B and D just yesterday. Check this out.
We stand salute.
Rocker's gonna get tagged up. It's gonna be a team wipe. Look how fast they did it.
Okay, I'm marking him.
Yeah, arc them. They have no bubble. Hold behind. They're all on one rock. 60 on bow. We gotta hold this, boys.
Look left. Sweet, turn around.
NRG finds himself with high ground. They hold on to it. Find one of the squads. Now it's just easy pickings. It's hunting season, baby. NRG looking for the last rat, looking for the last KP, and they're gonna find it.
Let's go.
They have to get Timmy back in. There's another team pushing. Hello. Look over towards your left. The prize is there with the L-Star. As now NRG's finally going to make their play. They're looking for back-to-back mark. They may find it.
Rocker picks up one, and NRG might go back-to-back here. It's a 2v1, and NRG, the two-time here, back-to-back wins for NRG.
My bike won't let off like a pit bull. My bike won't let
SSG are trying to force their way in, and G2 have got some issues at the same time. Hasn't been already. That's a fantastic Kraber shot. Space Station trying to do what they can. The Rampage coming through, and off they go. Esports Arena alive for the time being, but Furia are abusing from the high ground, dropping down though to capitalize on the situation and clean up the mess downstairs, bleaching the floor. But who's going to take the final kill? Two of Furia still up, and now it's just down to Tech, and Furia will of course be the champion.
Right. It's just the beginning. We're getting it started.
Another frag grenade going to be lovingly rolled down the side of the building, as well as G2 now make their move in as well. Designful doing a great job to finish off here Eternity inside of this building.
It's just the beginning. We're getting it started.
Off angles, double knock right there with just a small little burst.
Exit now to push. Gentrifying goes down. Resulta last alive for his squad. He'll pick up one, but can he hold off Space Station Gaming, who are low HP now? Frex moving in without alternator. It looks like it's a 1v1v1 maybe inside of these bubbles. Frex will fall, and Exit will clutch up.
United we stand salute. United we stand salute.
Let's take it.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, go over here. Go downstairs.
Opportunity here to jump from 4th place potentially into the top 2.
It's a nice practice. He's going to push behind it though, as there is an L-Star just around the corner, but no problem for Frex, who does even more. Quick reload in. Not many bullets left though. That wingman better be ready to finish off. Frex is the last man now. It has to be the wingman. He's the only man standing for the squad. He's close. He's cracking.
Part of me lives in the game and again never stops, so I'll probably never leave.
G2, 49 to 45. The spray from Gentrifying. He's not done yet, Mark.
Found themselves in, and I wonder if he's going to go for a kidnap here. Can he catch some prey? No, but he'll crack someone. But the last players from Noble surely can't survive for too long. Lucas is taken down. The armor swap is there as well. Gibby slides out. He's going to meet his Mastiff. He's going to meet an end surely here, and Neanderthals will close out the final game of the day with the win.
Tell them they're facing the truth. United we stand salute.
Well, if that tells you something, it says to me, hype is on the way. Onset, Hipster in all of your glory. Talk to me a little bit about some of those themes that we saw throughout that NA presentation just now. Maybe what we're looking forward to today.
The standout yesterday was NRG. The return to form after a disappointing week 1. We saw him in week 2, and they really performed in week 3. You saw it from some of the highlights there. The back-to-back wins, and it wasn't just back-to-back wins, by the way. It was dominant back-to-back wins. Huge amount of points for them. Sweet was doing a great job, as we expect at this stage. IGLing everyone, but I need to give some love to that team at the top of the pile. Esports Arena, Duplex Skittlecakes, and Verhulst. These 3 names, and that name on top, not synonymous with being one of the teams at the top of the leaderboards. When you take all the other teams that we have in this list into account, they have been unbelievably consistent, and I need to show them as much love as possible. Space Station up there as well. Great consistency from them.
Absolutely. And Axel, I'm looking at this as some dare to be great scenarios happening between rank 21 and 40.
There's some people down here who are probably not enjoying themselves in these lobbies thus far. Torrent, for my main example here, 1 point, 34th place, not good enough. And they know it's not good enough. So this is the week of change for Torrent. I'm calling it now. They need to do it, otherwise things are not going to be looking pretty. You could say the same for the likes of CLG, maybe expectations there. Bench warmers as well. I was thinking they were going to be putting on some more points, but who knows? Maybe this could be the week where we see the likes of Torrent really pick up, because they are in this lobby. And look at that lobby! Woo! That is an amazing lobby. Complexity, Sentinels, Torrent, TSM, Liquid, Cloud9, the list goes on. I could list every single team here, and they all inject me full of hype.
Well, I will say that last A versus C looks a little bit more like an all-star league up against each other, so we'll see how this lobby works. But you know what? It's about time that I crack open both of your brains and find out exactly which of these teams we should be focusing on, and that means it's time for our Lenovo Teams to Watch. Axel Gaskin, give us a lick. Tell me who you got number 1 on this list.
Well, I'm going to be looking at Cloud9. How could I not look at Cloud9? Last week, they put up a whopping 97 points, and I like, as someone on Reddit called them, the Brooklyn Nets of the ALGS. There we go, there's an American reference for you all. I don't even know what that means, but I know it means they're blooming amazing, because they absolutely dominated, wiped the floor with everyone, and it was not an easy lobby. It was full of the likes of TSM. It was full of the likes of NRG. It was full of the likes of Team Liquid. It had all the big hitters in it, and they still showed why they were one of the best teams, if not the best team around. And then we move over to TSM as a team to watch as well. They have had some ups and downs, let's put it lightly, alright? They were one of the best teams around, but lately, they've not looked the greatest, have they, Onset?
With great, name, reputation comes great expectation. TSM haven't been delivering, and that sounds crazy to say when you look at the overall standings. 11th place is not bad. Some teams would love to be up there, but outside of that top 10 for TSM after 2 weeks, ain't good enough. My concern for them is scrims haven't been going brilliantly either. I still think there's a little bit of confusion over what comp they want to play. I just need to see TSM return to form. I'm sure their fans at home are either going to flame me or agree with me, but I'm happy to be the man that everyone hates today. I'm good with that. Torrent is the 3rd team. RKN, Hill, and Yuri, so much talent on this team, but it hasn't worked for them for whatever reason. I've seen them on Twitter. I've been saying, we haven't performed. We've been a bit unlucky with zone pools. Well, excuses have got to move now. It's time to go. And if you don't perform at this stage, then this could be the end of their run towards playoffs. They might not make it. They're currently sat right down at the bottom of the table. They're in 37th place. If you would ask me to put money on where Torrent are going to be, 37th, you wouldn't have got anywhere near it, because that is far too low for the talent that's on this lineup.
And what a lineup and bunch of talent it really is. This has been your Lenovo Teams to Watch. And for TSM and Torrent, I feel like we are looking at this like the potential. You've got such great potential. What is going on? But we'll be able to find out that shortly. But first, let's take a look at the talent predictions. Find out if I have the potential to do better than I have recently. We'll see what happens. But I will say I'm in great company. Hipster Onset, Hound Kitty. You'll see why in a little bit. Hipster Onset, Cloud9, obviously a fan.
Yeah, I mean, I like Cloud9 before it was cool to like Cloud9 because I'm hipster onset and all of that. But I mean, there was a lot of debate. Let's take ourselves back a few weeks. Let's take ourselves out of the current situation where everyone's like, Cloud9 are playing great. Aren't Cloud9 good? Everyone was hating on Cloud9 just a few weeks ago when they made that team change. You could say recent. But now they're getting the results. It took a huge amount of bravery for them to do so. I want to see them put in the consistency now. We've seen what that level is they can hit. Can they do it back-to-back weeks?
And I will say, last real quick thing here, Axel Gaskin. I almost picked Sentinels myself. Real quick, why did you go with them?
I've been doing a thing where I've been picking the team who performed well last week. They performed well week 1. I've gone against what my brain said. I've gone with my heart, and we're going to get it done.
It's a burning desire for all of us there, Axel. At any rate, that's my cue to step away for a couple of games. I'll be back, but you are in the capable hands of Hipster Onset and Axel Gaskin. Gents, take it away.
Thank you very much, Kate. And it is your favorite avocado eater alongside a man who looks like he stalks Guns N' Roses. It is Dan Gaskin secretly under that beard. Dan, this is going to be an amazing day. You could probably tell I'm kind of like bouncing up and down on my chair. This lobby, not only is it stacked to watch if this was scrims, but I mean, let's talk about some of the implications. You got C9 and TSM. There's a little bit of a brewing rivalry going on there. You've got Torrent who need a big performance. You've got Sentinels who went from heroes in week 1 to zeros in week 2. And then you've got my little dark horse who's been causing problems in every single lobby we've seen so far, and that is SXG. They have been winning so many fights, and I'm sure they're going to do that today as well as we head into our match number 1. You know what time it is at home. It's Apex time, baby.
Ah, sweet child of mine Onset. Boy, we can feel the energy coming through, and for good reason, because you are completely right. This lobby is the lobby of all lobbies, and I would not be surprised if at least, I don't know, I'm going to say more than 10 teams are going to get to the end, to the playoffs, right? I think that we're going to see these teams in that final lobby because it is just so blooming stacked. These are two of the hardest hitting groups with some of the biggest teams, but this is when you need to perform. This is when you need to pull those results out whilst you've got those teams who are hitting hard. And lo and behold, we've got another Southern Zone.
Call me shocked. We're going down to the south side of World's Edge. It does look like we're going to head towards launch site, maybe that area outside of Dome as well. So look to teams to make their rotation. If you're wondering why we're so shocked, every single zone earlier on was pretty much down on the south side of World's Edge in the EMEA region. But you know what's crazy, Dan? We're talking about the teams, you know, we've made a massive list. Haven't even mentioned Complexity, who are in this lobby as well. And they've been finding form recently too.
Yeah, I think that we need to be considering that anyone could pop off today. I know we've named some of the big 3 or 4, but there are certainly 15 teams who could potentially win this lobby.
It's 20
if they
teams.
have, yeah, well, okay, that's true. But there are probably, you know, realistically 15 teams who can win this lobby. I think that we've got a lobby here that if one individual on that team can do some damage, can really have that high damage output, allow the rest of their team to pick up those kills, there is no reason why they can't just steamroll this lobby. It's something we've seen in both EMEA and NA, in that if you're winning your 3v3 engagements and you're winning them quick enough before the third party can come along, that's when you find your success. It goes south when you're having those elongated fights, when you're not able to pick up those kills quick enough, another team comes along and sweeps you off your feet, and then they probably get third-partied, fourth-partied as well. So you need someone to be hitting hard, do that damage, and then just get on with your game.
Well, here you go, Torrent then. They're on the rotation, just looking across how they're playing as well. They've got Gibby, Caustic, Valkyrie as their composition here. So you can see what their plan is. It's going to be try and get into a position as quickly as possible. Copy and paste, and you're on Roller Theory's composition as well. Exactly the same legends put together. They're playing to the north side of Trials at the moment, just over where Liquid are pretty close. So they've got to be careful that some shots don't come down from high ground. And now we have CLX. They're currently just chilling, and they're chilling for quite some time as well because they're inside of launch site already.
Yeah, we saw a couple of circles similar to this in EMEA earlier, if you were watching. As we said, and we alluded to, they were all southern circles, but this is a very similar circle to one we saw earlier, which actually pulled kind of away from launch site towards Dome, and then back towards launch site again after another hard pull, and it really made it difficult for people to try and set up, try and predict, and in the end, it just made people go kind of back and forth, having to take engagements, having to go for Valkyrie ultimates to try and take position a little bit later on as well. A little bit awkward, as if it does finish in those kind of open areas. There's not much cover. There's not much buildings. Instead, it's a lot of natural cover like rocks and whatnot, usually exposing you from one angle. So you kind of have to play your back to a wall, or you've probably got a team above you that you have to try and hide under some sort of crevice. But you really need to put enough presence to the teams that are going to be pushing from that one exposed angle to ensure it's not going to be easy and free kills for them.
CLX have made their way into the upper building now in launch site. Very good position to hold down for quite some time, as we did see Sentinels set up. And I think it says a lot about the lobby in the way that Sentinels have approached just the very start of this game. They've actually made the rotation from Lava Siphon towards Zone to find themselves in a good position where they can kind of look from the inside out. Now, if we take ourselves to other lobbies where maybe Sentinels have felt that they're one of the strongest teams in the lobby, and there's some teams they can maybe target on the outside of Zone, we have seen them take that approach down where they've headed to edge of Zone from the middle and tried to take some fights.
And I didn't really get to expand on it too much in the pre-show because we were ready to get into game. We wanted to get the game rolling. But the reason why I chose Sentinels as my prediction is, yes, okay, they had a disappointing week 2 and an amazing week 1. But if you think of their week 1, it was special. It was similar to Cloud9's domination in their week 2 performance. They were just running at teams, they were winning every engagement, but they were also playing end zones to perfection. They knew exactly how to force other teams into fights, they knew exactly what utility to be saving and when to be using ultimates and whatnot, so I was very impressed with them. Just week 2, they didn't really find that same success because there wasn't as many teams kind of playing edge, and they weren't able to find those kills, those frags they were so easily be able to get them armor, to get them loot and whatnot. So instead, they had a little bit of an awkward time. Maybe here in week 3, they'll get more gunfights and they'll get more of a chance to get rolling.
Well, here is Cloud9 on our screens at the moment as they finally, after doing a bit of crafting and looting, are on their way towards Zone. Let's jump into a listening early on with Cloud9.
Love you.
Cargo.
Oh, nice. Let's see what we get. All right. After that, we have to start doing this wide wrap.
Gold armor. Fuck.
Oh my god.
I'm going to that. All right, you got it.
This is the part where I get
armor, probably. Yeah, I was like, what?
I'm gonna bring you the armor, Zach.
From right here. What are you doing? What are you doing?
What do you mean? I threw the purple for Naughty. Oh, you went up there.
Yeah, what do you do? What do you guys do?
You did that ass backwards, bro. I was bringing.
So do I want the gold or no? I don't know what I want.
Naughty had a blue, so I needed.
Yeah, I didn't realize what
you want. The purple or the gold, Zach?
Zach wants the gold.
Yeah.
Okay.
How many bats do you have? I have 5.
Two. Give me 2. Take a thermite, Zach, or whatever.
I'm 16-5.
I already left it up there.
Yeah, I'm fucking 14-3, so I'm chilling. Could be a team here. If there's a team here, we can look to fight it maybe. AM and Ronnie's team is fighting.
Grab zone 2 here. We can go zone 3. We can either go zone 2 here or go zone 3 staging.
Well, we want to do the wide wrap. Keep that in mind. Scan this. Make sure we're not getting ratted on.
Yeah, scan.
We'll hit zone 2, and if it's a launch site zone, then we'll do the wide wrap.
You got a pill right there. Let me actually. You guys have that. I have 20. It's not gonna mean anything if we find.
You gotta hit that.
I'm.
Maybe throw him down.
I'm not with you yet.
It is a launch site zone. We have to do the wrap.
Yeah.
All right. Just forget. 40 seconds is what it is. PvP said something.
Well, after some initial confusion about who should have what armor, we kind of worked out that, you know, what the next stage and what the next step is for Cloud9. They're going to go for a wide wrap towards launch site, having got that information from Beacon, trying to avoid that center zone push, so to speak. So don't be too surprised to see them go towards Geyser, and then through Lava City down as they try and make their way towards zone as Complexity take a little bit of damage.
Gaza is just a hipster way of saying Geyser, everyone, so don't worry. Yeah. It wasn't him speaking wrong. It was just him just trying to get rid of that hipsterness.
Too cool for the game, man. That's all it is.
Far too cool.
You won't understand. You weren't there, man.
Complexity have set up in a nice little position here where they can wait. And as I say, though, they've got their back to a rock. They've got their back to a wall. But they have very much exposed themselves to one area of the map here. So they will probably move from this position at one point, but for now, they're just trying to take as much of this particular little area as possible. Just show some presence, fire some shots if needs be, but don't necessarily leave yourself too vulnerable too late. You need to have a plan B, you need to have an area where you will be going to, but they're just waiting for some zone information, and they don't have to move just yet. Elsewhere, though, there is potentially a little confrontation that could go down here, but looks like both teams will be more than happy to cohabit for now, unless one of them gets a little bit frisky.
Well, it's going to be a little bit of a standoff going on between these teams here, as we see Knights inside of this building, and they're not going to be doing too much for now. They're safe for now. There's just going to be a little bit of poke damage going down. We have lost one team already. Although with 19 squads remaining, you can see there's a little bit of trepidation in everyone. I always find that in game one, everyone's a little bit slow. Everyone doesn't want to get out to that slow start. And sometimes it's the teams that actually try and seize the opportunity to be a little bit more aggressive in game one that get quite a lot of results.
It was Estral Esports eliminated first as well, by the way. You can see 19 squads still remaining. Everyone still healthy except one team who seems to be one player down, as there's a 56 player count. But yeah, you are right. We've seen so many times throughout ALGS Pro League already, a team that really pops off in game one, just gives them the platform to then proceed how they would like to proceed. It almost takes that weight off your shoulders, right? You've already had that big game one. You've already got the points on the board, so you can be a little bit more calm with your direction of how you want to play. Although, we have also seen the other side of things for Sentinels, for example, where they pop off and then they continue to pop off and they get filled with so much confidence, they just push, push, push. Right, there's the next zone pool, though. What do you think of that one?
Site is where we're going, or just outside, where I was thinking right at the start of the game when we got that second beacon information. So it's going to be an interesting one, probably ending around, you know, the edges of launch site, maybe on the platform, but for a lot of teams, it's going to be a little bit of a scrap in the open towards that end game. We're going to see Cloud9 now. This is the wrap that I was expecting them to make. We heard it from their comms, just making sure they take their time, sharing that gold armor as well, so they're not going to be wasting any extra resources to get the most out of those syringes. That is micromanagement there, Dan. Great stuff coming in here from Cloud9.
Yeah, just the small attention to detail that some of these teams are ensuring they do, even though it's something that teams would have done for quite some time. When you actually do witness it, it's always good to see that they are making sure they take advantage of everything and anything that's available. Zach, not taking the best bounce pad, eventually manages to get it. But this could be a circle that pulls towards the lava next to Dome as well, which then makes things very tricky. If you could be one of the teams who takes a risk and you could sit Dome for quite some time, if you are a team who's rotating in late, for example, you could say, hey, look, let's bank on it being a pull that maybe people aren't expecting. Let's go against the grain a little.
Speaking of taking risks, Liquid taking somewhat of a risk on their way up there. There were other teams surrounding them. They took quite a lot of damage, and Nocturnal had to make that flight without any armor. So if he would have landed and he would have got that one slightly wrong, it could have been really bad news. Speaking of which, TSM, this could be some bad news for them, as Hao is forced into the void now. He's only got around 10 HP, and TSM in all sorts of trouble early.
A spotter bother, to put it a nice way. Imperial Hao down. Reps in Snipe down, going to have to do a job now to try and stay alive and ensure that TSM don't go out. The Cloud9 are coming on in.
Comes C9.
And they get the wipe.
My word, that is C9 waiting for the opportunity and taking it. And that just adds another level of interest to the C9 versus TSM story. Cloud9 1-0 up for now, but they've got to be careful the third party. And Zach Mazer goes down. So at what cost was the push onto TSM? As now, Albrelli has to pop the bat. Naughty has to try and survive as well. And it's a 3v2 for C9 to try and get out of.
You've got to do what you can here as the two, and Monas are going to be the team pushing in. Monas get the wipe, so TSM go down in 19th, but it means that Cloud9 go down in 18th after their push. And I guess that's what everyone will be looking at when we get out of this lobby. They'll be saying, what happened to TSM? Well, C9 happened, but at what cost?
Oh, we love a little bit of spice in our first game of the day. Inside the first three teams out, TSM and Cloud9. And what an opportunity it is for everyone else in the lobby. The likes of Sentinels, the likes of Liquid, Complexity, Torrent, who we mentioned earlier on as well. What an opportunity this is for them, as we see Absolute Monarchy now moving up and trying to take this space. And having cleared out both TSM and C9, they're going to be feeling on Cloud9, excuse the pun.
And I think the reason why we saw those engagements happening by Dome was for the reason I was talking about, that to taking that risk in case it does pull away towards the lava next to Dome. We have seen finishes there. We know those finishes do happen. And also it was one of the air quote safer rotations away from the rest of the lobby who are going to be moving naturally towards launch site. So sometimes your big brain play isn't necessarily as big brain because the other big brains are also making the big brain play. It becomes small brain. I think that's what you said last week.
Two brains cancel out. Two big brains cancel each other out. Exactly is what we're trying to say. Yeah. Senior service. They're
like Pokemon.
They're trying to make their way down. And Noko again saying in the week that last week wasn't good for them, and they know it wasn't. They need to step it up. And I can say that about so many teams at the moment because you are getting to that stage now of Pro League where every single game, kill, point matters for all of the squads that are involved. Senior service trying to be one of those squads who can say that they don't have to worry about it too much heading into the next time we're back on Pro League. But for now, they really need to string together a
kind of a lengthy run of performances as they now make their way up this hill, and they're going to be moving towards the opening of launch site.
Well, let's be a fly on the wall with Senior Service. Let's see what they have to say.
Oh, fuck. Watch out, watch out. Height's looking at you.
I know. I'm done.
I see Height, yeah. We need to figure out where to go after this.
What we play for after this is we play low ground right here on my ping, all right?
Okay.
Is that crevice in, by the way? I think crevice is in. You know the crevice that we always try to play?
Over there. It's over there.
We can play it late. We can play it late.
Yeah, but we have to play low. We have to play low ground.
Do we want me to pad to low?
I think we're going to have to pad, but you have to save it.
Yeah, of course.
You can't do it early.
Pad to the left and then...
Yeah, we pad out left.
And then hit the geyser and then fly into that choke point.
You're going to need to hound ult for this, but don't do it right now.
I don't have hound ult. I popped it.
Okay. I think when we immediately take it, we're going to need to hug the wall closest to lava siphon, okay?
Watch your backs right here. Before we cross.
Yeah. We're going to have to hug the wall.
I'm just going to follow you, Davis. I'm just going to follow you.
Yes, we're going to have to hug the wall on the left side, I think.
The zone's coming, so just...
I think we go now.
Okay.
All right.
Am I padding?
Yeah.
Just follow Davis.
I think we're good. We don't have to. No one's on the side. We're good. We're good. We're good.
Up.
Yep.
I think, yeah.
We're good here for now. Just need to watch our angs right now, okay? There's just scissors in them above us.
Watch your height.
I don't have Gibby ult. We're gonna need to work left, all right? Once you have pad, all right? We just fucking lose obviously, but
he's gonna get it at zone close. There's a minute 30.
Yeah.
That takes pad, right?
Yeah. When you get it, we're probably gonna have to pad up the hill.
Do you want me to constantly scan these guys or save scan?
Yes, you scan them. You definitely have it on cooldown.
It might crypto aim.
We know we're below. They are definitely going to do something. They're probably going to look right.
Well, everything seems pretty cool, calm, and collected for these three gentlemen at the moment. Senior service. You don't want to get the seniors too excited because you know what that can kind of cause in the lobby. But a good rotation from them, Dan. The plan was played out and they executed it to get inside of that zone.
Yeah, just have to be careful. A team is now above them, but we move elsewhere because there is a bit of commotion happening towards the dome areas. Absolute Monarchy involved in a bit of a fight as well, and you can see that the zone did pull ever so slightly towards that lava that we were speaking of, but still elements of launch site still involved as well. 44 seconds until that zone will be moving. But for now, Absolute Monarchy probably have to get past this team if they're going to get in the circle, so they need to make a move soon.
Bubble's going to allow them to reset for now, and the Caustic Ultimate is going to be used. The Nox Gas gets thrown behind to zone off that team. On top of that, look at the damage that's coming in for the defensive bombardment, and there's all sorts of fire going down. So Absolute Monarchy using all of the utility available to clear as much space as they can as they now turn their attention to their west side to see if they can pick up some KP.
So the eggshells in the very south of that map are going to be one of the priority positions. One team already resides in it, but Absolute Monarchy still in a kerfuffle right now. They are going to be able to reset again, but now this zone is going to force things ever so slightly quicker. I don't know if they've got the Valkyrie ult available to use, and even if they do, would you want to use it? When there's so many people staring at you right now, you're just going to get ripped out of the sky.
Well, they are, but they also have managed to pick up one knock. Scissors goes down. Sleepy Panda doing so well, and now the push comes in, as it looks like Absolute Monarchy might be able to come out of this alive, but no, they will fall. It's Double Ooh on the other side of things, as we now jump over to Monas, who are in a really good spot. Look at the top left-hand side of your screen. You've got two players inside a zone, and you've got a little bit of vision in front of them as well. Complexity still playing around this area as well. Have the barrels down, but have the zone closing behind them. They'll be forced forward as well.
Yeah, look at the amount of teams that are being forced forward, and you're forced into lava. You're forced into just hopefully a rock that you can hide behind or a little cranny that you can hide within, but it's not going to be particularly helpful. Sentinel's just getting absolutely drilled at the moment by the lava. Should be able to reset, as now the zone will pull again, but this time it's southwest of the circle, but it is going to be out in open area. So that one last building no longer going to be safe.
So them down, that will be SXG eliminated. Complexity doing some good work as well as they pick up that kill. So you have Complexity, you have Sentinels, and another team who keeps popping up in that kill feed. That is Torrent. We said how important today was for them. It looks like they've got the KP. Can they get the big placement in game 1-2?
Sentinels have a team above them here, so they've managed to find a little crate they can hide in for now, but you are very vulnerable to grenades, and they've been scanned by the Bloodhound, so this is a very terrifying position. And yeah, Torrent, they're in one of the priority spots right now. On these eggshells, they're holding out various angles, but they could be a target. They could be a focus point. They could get pinched if they're not careful. So you need to play around all the scenery that's available to you here. Use these eggshells. Use these loot pills to ensure that you have as much cover as possible when all these teams come and join you here.
Defensive bombardment goes down as Torrent try and hold themselves down inside this eggshell. Let's jump into a listening and see how they execute.
Watch the portal. Can you get gas?
They're getting pushed.
Portal?
They're getting pushed. Keep anchoring them. They're getting pushed.
Get gas on portal.
It is.
I had to bat.
Flash. Two took it. One took it.
I'm fine, batting. Taking on gas. Rapping.
One's knocked. Come to me if you can.
I'm okay.
He took port back. Watch that. Keep watching that.
Keep ducking. I'm medding.
I have no ammo.
We have a team holding our front side. We have to hard focus
the other team on right, Val halted.
They're landing on heights.
Come to my pill.
They're getting.
Come to my pill.
I'm with you.
Surround us with gas. Don't peek them. I have bubble in 3. I don't have
They're
PB
arcing.
on me.
They use 2 arcs. Stop that, guys. Another guys.
Go outside shell. We have to go outside shell now. On me now.
Okay, I'm with you.
Now.
Right here.
Ultra save.
Well, Torrent managed to escape for now. They are still alive. They have given up the inside of the eggshell, but you can see with that Valkyrie redeploy coming in from height, they kind of had no other choice, Dan.
Yeah, it's one of those awkward positions where you're just going to be drilled from above if you're not careful. So we saw the gas barrels joining them. We saw the arc stars, and they were in a little bit of a vulnerable position. And you can see 2 of them have been knocked in the feed, as well as 2 Sentinels members also down at this point. 5 squads left, but we know 2 of those squads are pretty weak. A team that's not weak, however, Complexity. They're getting kills in that kill feed. Monsoon gets 1 more. Torrent, I think, have just lost RKN and Hill, so this really has not gone too well for Torrent, unfortunately. The eggshells were good, but not good enough.
This has been such a strong performance from Complexity, and just look across the board at the moment. We know that there's not too many people alive inside of this zone, but 3 of them have the name Complexity before them. Monsoon, Shiny, and Reptar moving forward. Xenox on his own here, but you can see there's one other team still inside of this zone, but it looks like a tough position for them to play as Complexity are looking hungry for more KP.
Yeah, it's CLX, and they've just lost 1 as well. Xenox falls, and at least it was a bit of KP for CLX, but you'd imagine that Complexity should easily wipe the floor with them here. It's a 3 versus 2, and it's inevitable at this point.
Monsoon just making sure that he keeps eyes where he needs to. Moving forward now, just playing this one perfectly. They might not have all of the information that we have from just overlooking all of these fights that have been going on. So for Complexity, it's a case of just making sure they make no mistakes. And one of those mistakes, 8 missing shots. And that's what Monsoon is doing as Complexity will close out game 1 as your champions.
Yeah, a really well-played game from Complexity, even though we were watching other teams and how it unfolded. The fact that Complexity were able to get into that circle, pick up so many pieces, get so many kills on board, and then when it came to the final 3 squads, as I said, it was inevitable at that point because they had done so much damage and they've been able to get those knocks and they've been able to watch everything unfold elsewhere. That will be a solid amount of points for them, some good KP, and they'll be delighted.
Yeah, really impressed with Complexity. Had some fear early on, to be honest with you, as we see the leaderboards, 22 points, 10 kills as well for the Cole boys. But I had some concerns early on when they had that early position, which was kind of in the middle of nowhere, but they managed to rotate from team to team, win a fight. It was really, really good for them to see them kind of target these teams and win the fights, most importantly. Sentinels, good performance from them in 3rd place as well. CLX, very impressive too. But at the other side of things, Dan, I think almost a bigger story than Complexity coming first, which is a crazy thing to say, was 2 teams that went out pretty early on.
Yeah, it was the TSM going down to Cloud9 and then Cloud9 falling, and you can only imagine what was being said from the TSM boys as Cloud9 were the team that eliminated them, only for them to get third-partied anyway. But unfortunately, it was just one of those things that happened. I personally don't see it as Cloud9 griefing TSM or anything like that. They didn't dive on them just because it was TSM. I think it was a case of that was a really desirable spot, and so many teams wanted to try and take that area because they knew that there was going to be less teams on that side. So if you were able to win those initial fights between the 3 or 4 teams there, then you would have one of the power positions throughout the rest of the game. game. It was a high-risk move for both of the teams, and it just didn't pay off in game number 1. Complexity, though, the champions. Plenty of damage to go around, plenty of kills as well. That's a serious amount of points to really put them on a nice pedestal going into game number 2.
I think the thing I love about that leaderboard from game number 1 as well is the fact that I talked about momentum teams, and I think 2 of the biggest teams for that in North America are both Complexity and Sentinels. So to see them both inside of that top 3 with kills alongside it can only mean good things going forward. It means we've got 2 of the most exciting teams in North America hitting their straps down and looking dangerous.
Yeah, I think strategy is going to be difficult to try and employ perfectly in a lobby like this, where there's so many strong IGLs, so many players who know how they want to play the game, and also so much knowledge throughout all these teams as well. They know where people are rotating, they know the areas people like to play as well. It's difficult to try and be unpredictable in a lobby full of so many intelligent IGLs.
It's going to be interesting for sure, and game number 2 is going to come up right after this break, but game number 1, Complexity, they took it home.
Monster Energy, the official energy drink of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Mental health and wellness is so important in the world of gaming.
Going to a mental health professional when you're feeling not your best, I can't think of anything better to do.
It is okay to seek for help. You're not weak because you go see a therapist.
Que no pasa nada por pedir ayuda y que los profesionales para algo están.
I promote.
Yo promuevo.
I promote and practice positive mental health.
Welcome back, everybody, to a special Halloween edition of the ALGS Pro League. This is NA week number 3. Fallout here joined alongside Hound Kitty, still repping that Bloodhound costume, baby. killing it
Oh,
on Halloween
yeah.
Sunday. How you doing, Vicky?
Oh, yeah. I do know the Allfather will be absolutely pleased to see what we got in store for us here looking at NA. Can we talk about Complexity, though? Their timing, the way that they were able to position themselves properly in such a chaotic South Circle, but at this point, are we even surprised to see these Southern Circles fall up?
Yeah, I know, right? The South Circle madness continues. For those that missed the EMEA broadcast, we had 5 out of 6 Southeast circles. It was insane, or South Central. But Complexity proven, hey, it doesn't necessarily matter if a circle actually pulls towards you. They dropped north near C9, and they fragged out with a 22-point game, 10 kills across all of them, all 3 of them playing out of their minds. Monsoon leading the way with 1.3k damage. Right behind them, new coming team, Serial, who's been here before, but it's Cruzen and Luxford, rookies to the ALGS. Welcome with a big game number 1. They, of course, are in second place, tied with Sentinels here, Vicky.
Yeah, Sentinels, the squad that popped off the week 1, but week 2, where were they? We didn't really get to see them often. I believe they finished in 14th place with only 23 points, so starting off game number 1, really strong. I also like what I'm seeing from Complexity. We were joking about it a little bit before Fallout, but looking at Monsoon and his usually optimistic tweets coming through now with the results. That's why you gotta back up the talk.
Yeah, that's right. For those that maybe didn't see Monsoon's optimistic tweets, what was coming out of Monsoon's Twitter hands and Twitter fingers this week, Vicky? Let us know.
Oh, he said that he was absolutely going to demolish the lobbies today, and look at that. He's not only wins game number 1 with his squad Complexity, the rest of Complexity were popping off. Let's see if they can keep that energy, though, as we progress through the next 5 games.
That's right, and that's the biggest challenge I've had with Complexity as of late is just consistency, right? They haven't performed up to their expectations, didn't qualify for ALGS championships, and we've been critical of them, all for good reason, because we love this team. We know what their ceiling is. They are so incredibly talented. One of my favorite teams, if not probably my favorite team to watch, just based on their listen-ins alone. Great game 1 for them. I want to see them continue that consistency in games 2 through 6. We'll see if they can. Meanwhile, story of game 1, just kind of wrap that up before we switch over to game 2. Well, it was TSM and C9 both out early. What happened there?
You look at TSM, and they were not only out at 19th, but it was C9 who took out TSM to then further get third-partied themselves. So then C9 was out right after TSM at 18th place. That was absolutely chaotic, and that was mid-rotation too when you saw that circle getting pulled down to the southern side. So noting that, I'm wondering here, with TSM not performing to the expectation that everybody has on them, which could indirectly put a lot of pressure onto them, I'm wondering if that's going to affect their mindset going through the rest of the day looking at NA.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. This is a juicy lobby. Obviously, we've talked about it, right? But we got TSM, we got Team Liquid, and we've got C9 all in one lobby. What does that mean? Well, it's kind of incestuous. You have Alberlelli, who's been on all 3 teams, started off on TSM, that back-to-back Dynasty early TSM championship winning squad. Went on to play with Team Liquid, retired for like 3 days, then joined Team Liquid, left Team Liquid, joins Cloud9, and guess what? Now they're all competing against each other in this lobby. So it is a drama-filled Group A versus C lobby here as we're going to jump on board with Complexity. The exact opposite story for Complexity. This is a team that's been together for over a year, staying loyal to each other and sticking with the same roster despite a poor showing in the LGS champs. You'd love to see it.
Yeah, and you can already see them getting that beacon. They know what they're trying to play here, Epicenter, as they are going to be able to find their way in. And do my eyes deceive me? Do my eyes deceive me? What circle is this? Am I seeing this right?
We got a North Circle for the first time all day on Sunday. We have a circle that is not pulling on the south side of the map. You love to see it. It is a northern circle. And what's so interesting about this, Vicky, is generally speaking, I wish I had the full stats to kind of back this up. This is, my synopsis, my qualitative opinion, but Complexity tends to struggle a little bit on circles that pull north. They are an edge fighting team, which means they like circles that pull far because they can play edge, they can take fights, 3v3s, they can win those clean on rotations. But this one's obviously going to be pulling right next to them over in No Name or Respawn Village outside of Fragment East. A good circle for TSM. I'm interested to see how TSM, Complexity, and C9 all play this here with Torrent, of course, to their right and Overlook.
For the first time in forever, we get to plan ahead of time next to the drop spot that we just saw TSM land in. EA, they're maybe thinking, all right, maybe the circle pull here this time, but not going to be the case. They're just making their rotations before figuring out where they want to go here. But I like what I'm seeing for that next circle. You could also imagine No Name potentially being contested for that beacon. You saw some squads already by Geyser too, so this is going to be rather quick here.
Yeah, one thing I want to point out, SXG, obviously with the absence of G2 in this lobby, is going to be dropping over in Thermal Station. So that's a max pull for them. It's going to be a tough rotation. But again, that's also a team that likes to fight. Great Arenas team, great 3v3 team, some controller players in that squad. So that's actually might be decent for SXG coming from Thermal on the far rotate. And you feel for teams like SXG, right? They don't necessarily have a set place that they can drop. They have to basically, depending on the group matchup, they have to change their drop spots, which is one of the beauties of this Pro League. Meanwhile, enough of that. We're jumping on board with TSM, FTX, as they actually find themselves trying to rotate early to respawn Village, and they decide not to. They're going to pull back to Fragment East. I think they'll just decide to post up and set up in Fragment East.
This is what I was wondering, if they were going to be able to try to overcommit and try and take that beacon, or has it already been contested before? And I'm wondering here if that's what TSM thought about before making the rotation right back towards Fragment. That's interesting, though, because that also implies that TSM want to play this a lot more passively, and for a good reason, too. Looking at the way that they've been doing as of recent, they want to make sure they can capitalize off of any sort of positioning and points that they can gain within the second game.
Well, TSM making a decision here. They find a team directly to their right. Let's go ahead and jump right into a listening with TSM, see how they play this.
I'm going to go in train station, too.
Bloodhound on the ground.
Bloodhound's cracked!
Gibby's almost cracked.
I'm killing this fucking guy.
There's another team in Diner now.
He's running open here, boys.
Cracked on Diner.
We can't do anything now.
Cracked the Gibby. Hit him again. He's low.
I'm getting shot from top Diner.
Let's get inside. We can't do anything now.
He's getting.
I'm 6-1.
That was my Arc Star.
He still hasn't crossed yet. He's waiting for a bubble.
Did you not have scan right there, Snipe?
No, I just scanned the team that was in Diner.
We have to go west and loot.
Purple armor under the bridge. Blue heavy mag.
You should start looking under the bridge, Snipe, when you land.
Okay.
Just to double check. It spawns a good armor all the time.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so an interesting listen in there with TSM. You could tell they wanted that fight. Hal trying to make some plays, trying to play up on it, but a good job right there by Knights, who drops Fragment West, just kind of working right around TSM and actually early rotating. So interesting stuff here. And you know, it seems like TSM decides to continue looting on Fragment West. One thing to keep in mind, they'll be playing just across the bridge from Knights, who will be dropping there. Just those two teams dropping west and east of Fragment in this one. So expect that matchup to continue as we have Complexity early rotate. Look at this position that Complexity finds here in Respawn Village. That's a great spot for COL.
Look how many squads have already made their way over here. A squad already hugging the building where the beacon is located too. It looks like there was a fight that was going down, and look at Complexity with this loot. They have 2 golds, 1 blue. They're sitting pretty comfy here, and Monsoon's not going to have any issue being able to have these gas barrels up in time to just hold this for the rest of the game.
Yeah, so Complexity well positioned. You saw Torrent also finding a building there. I'm not sure where Knights ended up, so I'd love to check in with Knights and Cloud9 here. As, they, of course, also drop on the other side of the map. Cloud9 dropping in Climatizer. Not sure where they ended up. So here we are with C9. Looks like they're still trying to find their home. Again, C9 is a fighting team. Obviously, when you got Stay Naughty, Controller God on your squad, my Greek brother from Florida, they're going to try and take some fights. He's playing Bloodhound. They're playing Octane. So they're not going to early rotate, right? They're going to play over on the Overlook side. They're going to try and see if they can find some teams rotating through Geyser. And they're going to see if they can take some fights on Edge, because they don't have to worry, again, playing the dead side of the circle or the side that's less occupied. They don't got to worry about getting flanked. They're going to see if they can find a fight here.
And while they hold that sniper tower, they're also getting a look at any of the squads rotating from the edge of circle. That's really important here as C9 kind of has changed up their pacing, just trying to play this a bit more passive-aggressively, almost kind of in comparison to the way that TSM was playing that at first here. And C9 are trying to make their moves, trying to go over to the care package.
Yeah, it looks like they'll be able to do that. Likely. But they'll get that uncontested. Everyone obviously knows that C9 plays the north side, and everyone knows that C9 likes to take fights, so no one's going to mess with that. And that's going to be a very solid care package. Also some pills nearby. Purple shield already, though, so they might have that for an armor swap later, potentially, if they want it. But good job, all 3 of them. Purples and well kitted, and they're just going to be content here, chilling over towards Overlook. Meanwhile, would love to see where Knights ended up on their rotation, and if possible, would love to also take a look at the map and just kind of see how other teams are playing this, right? You got teams like SXG who had to rotate all the way from Thermal. Have they made those early rotations yet? We'll just do a quick scan around here as Team Liquid posting up over an Overlook. They should be content just holding the setup.
Yeah, C9 usually coming in from Climatizer, just looking at their backs to make sure that they're not going to get sandwiched when they do make their next moves for their rotation. I like the way that they're playing this patiently. Abralili just on the high ground is going to be able to give that insight from their 6, while you have Stay Naughty still looking up ahead at No Name to see all the chaos happening over there. Not trying to overextend, just going to play this passively here. Charlotte Phoenix now coming out of a fight, it seems like, actually putting in some damage, and they're approaching this choke point here to overlook what's happening.
Yep, Charlotte Phoenix lands launch site in the far south side of the map, so they're, of course, naturally going to work their way towards the Geyser choke or the Lava Siphon choke. And on this choke, they're going to have to be really, really careful because there's so many teams that have the potential to rotate through here. Sentinels, obviously playing Lava Siphon, probably have already hopefully made that rotation. Oxygen playing Harvester. SXG playing Thermal Station might make this rotation through. So they're going to maintain and hold this choke for now, but expect a potential collapse here of a few teams. This is going to be a traffic jam, I think, momentarily. Wow.
Oh, we can actually see some of these squads that are right here. Look at that. And the fight happening by the choke point by Geyser, as we saw that squad just before we saw the map here. And look at where the circle is going to get pulled to. C9 wasting no time just hanging out on the outside, though. We got a nice zoom in there. But Moners who are hanging out outside of circle, they're right there by the border. They're going to be able to get some extra loot before making their way over.
Yep. There's always going to be those 1, 2, 3 or straggler teams who just like to play in zone, like to play really, really slow, loot up, craft if they have a chance to do so. I loved that quick view of the map here. So there you go. We talked about traffic jam. Here comes the fight. Charlotte Phoenix in a big one against Cruz, and they're going to get taken out all down to Cody last alive for CLT, and he is going to turn around, just try and Kobe and Arcstar and get taken out. CLT eliminated already.
Shots in every direction. What do you do in that situation? You had your get off me option right there with a jump pad, but with so many squads already holding down that final position, it's going to be so difficult to go in for a safe rotation, especially passing by that choke point.
Yeah, so we predicted that one. Charlotte Phoenix in a choke was going to be a traffic jam. They ended up getting caught in a fight. But it looks like Moner's having like a long rotation now, and obviously they're going to be flanking, I believe, Astral and some other teams. So as they potentially enter the fray here, let's go ahead and jump into a listen, and it looks like they have a team nearby.
11%.
They're coming up the
zip.
One
Mida came up here. Can we get scans? Pop your ult.
Yep.
There's only 2 here.
I don't have
it.
I gotta pop back.
What?
One's on the left.
Wait, so where's the guy on the left? I hit him with the
I don't know. I have to sell up. Give me a second.
One's on the roof.
Okay. After bat. I'm not in the fight. Back up a little bit. They're gonna push on that.
Roof.
They're gonna push on that. You're by yourself.
Race cracked.
Almost broke.
Baron's hurt.
I'm ulting them off that.
I'm backing up.
I ulted them off the roof. They bubbled.
I can scan after this.
40 on one. Stunned one.
Okay.
Look at Gibby.
They drop.
Yeah, I'll drop. Okay, get roof. I'm getting the roof.
I'm backing up. I almost broke Gibby.
I'm on roof. They have ult though.
Push up. We're a unit. Come on.
Oh shit! Accidentally fell.
Gibby's really hurt.
I broke one.
Yeah, Baron's flush.
Where?
Getting on their door.
In the building.
Do we have nades?
Get second story.
We're in.
I'm inside.
Give me right now. Dead. I'm batting.
Is theirs or yours?
Don't let him portal out. They're trying to portal out.
I will.
That's 63 perp. He's the only one here.
I was rushing up here. He died. Come back. Another team.
Dead.
I'm rezzing Aiden. Come inside, come on. I had to take your armor off.
We can eat ring.
This guy's down here, it's a solo. Wait, you got rest. Okay, I'm backing up. Come back.
Love that listening to the rookies of ALGS. We have Moners, 3 players who have never qualified for an ALGS championship before. They just started playing together in Season 2, switched to PC in Season 7. Rockney and Demi have been playing together since Call of Duty well before Apex, so they of course have a lot of chemistry, and they were a great arenas team that converted to BR, and candidly were learning the tricks and trades of competitive BR and have just been grinding their way to the top. It's been fun to watch this young squad, the trajectory of this team. Aiden from Canada, one of our few Canadian players, and they're looking good so far here.
I love these stories too, because they were also able to get out of that really tricky situation. But talking about some situations, Sinus, please, keeping the squad trapped against the wall here. Now just trying to find a position, but they know that there's another squad right behind them, which is why they didn't want to fully send it in the first place. They didn't want to be vulnerable to the third party, especially here in Fragment with so many squads already hanging out in No Name.
Yeah, we know TSM's nearby. And there's a few more teams. So we'll keep a close eye here on Sign Us Please, a team that performed very well in week 1. Slowed down a little bit in week 2, I believe. My memory serves me correctly. Synced and Wicked, longtime duo. Synced, of course, played on that ranked as harder squad that got second place in a tournament here, and they're going to just melt this Valkyrie ult. That's why you don't want a Valk ult in the open, my friend. Take notes. Great beams coming through from Sync. Can they get a knock? Yes, they do. That's Team Liquid, and that's Fun who's going to go down.
That was absolutely insane. They're wasting no time. They had the jump pad ready. They're going to be able to fully send it, take the advantage. A 3v2 now. Sync is going to be going in. He's going to get the second down. And what can you do? You left yourself open in the redeploy, and they finish up beautifully. They were the 19th squad to go down.
That's called playmaking. Single-handedly right there is Wicked and Synced, aka Sync. We're getting some great shots on that Valk. Dropping the Octane pad, flying, and single-handedly knocking 2. What a performance. Of course, the team follows up after that. Being from Synced is next level here so far in game 2.
That was so intense, and they did it so quickly too. That's the highlight right there. They got the knock and immediately were able to dive in on that, wasting no time because they know there's another squad right in front of them. So that's some extra KP for Sinus, please. And now they're going to be able to take control over this building.
I wonder where this ring is going to pull. If we can get that intel, that'd be so helpful right now because all these teams in Fragment might get forced further to the east. If I had to guess, I think this is going to be a continued southeast pull of this ring, but again, hard to predict. These late ring 3, ring 4 has been very unpredictable. We jump back on board with Moaners. We talked about them earlier. They decided to rotate all the way through geysers, and this is obviously a difficult tunnel to traverse. It's almost like a dungeon to get through. You got to get through the first boss here. They got a team in front of them.
It was tough too because they had to get a res in the process, so they were able to quickly rotate, wasting no time, and they're going to bring this fight. Moaners now have taken this space just rent-free, and they may just want to hold this position without trying to overextend because they want to maintain this spot here, as we do note that the circle may pull continuously to that southeast side. They don't want to be stuck here in the cave when that moment comes, because then it's just going to be an open hunting ground on Moaners.
That's right. Demi on controller. I believe Rockney also on controller. We're taking a look. They're going to gain control, but need to be careful because they got a team to their right. They got a team to their west and north right now. As it looks like they'll be content holding and maintaining the spot. The fact that they're able to just kind of bully their way.
That was a Loba black market. It's going to be interesting to see how that's going to play out here. And know that there have been so many other Lobo squads in general, but Moaners, they're going to just still stick into this position. Knights now coming in, rocking the Bloodhound Octane that has provided Knights so much coverage in general when it comes to closing in this gap. Also, the Beast of the Hunt is ready here for Guild, but they're just holding the building. They want to see what's happening before they make this rotation, because they're going to be forced to in a minute and 25
with
seconds.
Knights here. Fragment East, Asura. Playing in Fragment East again. There's a couple teams that we saw nearby here. One team's going to be right in front of them. Not sure what squad that is. We'll try and get that intel and let you know here. As we got Asura from Knights, who typically, again, they drop Fragment West, so they're just going to maintain Fragment control. And here's TSM making their way towards Respawn Village. But this is such a difficult area. I'll call this Death Valley in this game because there's going to be so many teams nearby. TSM found one death box, and it looks like they'll be okay for now.
Well, I'm back in this. I get to see everything going down. We get to also see the Kraber coming in. I was actually talking about a little bit to myself, I guess, here, that we don't really get to see so many Lobas. So to see W still rocking Fury on this Loba, and now having the Kraber on top of that, I like this composition because we don't really get to see this too often.
Yeah, W, it's that former My Little Phony squad that really had a Cinderella story at ALGS Championships in group stages. Looked really, really strong. Has slowed down since. But look at this. TSM finds himself in another bad position here. Hal is out. That's not the player you want knocked right now. I don't think they'll be able to get the res. Snipe Down's going to have to go huge. And it looks like they're going to have to try and maintain reps in Snipe Down against the world right now.
Oh, we do not want a repetition of what we saw in game 1. TSM in trouble. They're going to be able to get this res. You are only up to a Snipe Down to close it out, to give us a press fire, but they can't. Luxford comes through. He finishes up TSM, and they're down in 18th place.
We talked about the 5 rookies in this lobby, right? CLX, Serial's obviously been here before, but Luxford and Crew, a rookie to ALGS, and Moaners, Aiden, Rockney, and Demi. So far, the rookies have looked great. Welcome New Blood to the ALGS, taking down the Titans in TSM, obviously with the help of a couple other teams.
I love to see this. Shaking up the competition to its core. Algs coming through and also having some squads drop down. Sinus, please, keeping it up. They've been racking up so much KP too. And it's nice to note, not only is TSM out, we saw Team Liquid drop down first. Charlotte Phoenix is going to be meeting them back in the lobby. And this is looking intense with the circle closing in. Round 4, you still have 60 squads left, and Knights are moving in, closing in this space with the dome.
It is an absolute bloodbath right now as you see the kill feed get lit up. Knights looking for opportunities to get some KP on this rotation, and here we are with Cloud9. They were playing Overlook. They get their way in the fray here as they're going to be fighting. Good shots being put in. Oh my gosh, Zach Mazer is a freak. He's going to get one absolutely beamed, but gets knocked right after as we jump on board with Torrent.
The way that they just played at the bombardment, putting in so much pressure. Knights are now trying to desperately go for a shield swap. They do so successfully, but the bombardment finishes off both his teammates.
And C9 is out. One member of Knights alive. And I just want to point out real quick, you wonder why TSM did not rotate early to Respawn Village, right? They play Fragment East. They're the closest team to Respawnville. They could have gotten there ASAP. Instead, they decided to stay in Fragment when typically the zone does pull a little bit more to the east. Not sure what the decision-making or reasoning was there, but the fact that Complexity got there first all the way from the north side of the map at Epicenter is a bit surprising, but that's neither here nor there. Let's move forward. We got 13 squads remaining. Torrent alive. Complexity, we believe, still alive as well, as Euris of Torrent find themselves in the same position that they rotated early to, but they're going to have a far rotation to make, Vicky.
I love how we were highlighting Torrent at the start, too. They weren't doing so well for the last 2 weeks. Meanwhile, now, not only after Game 1 were they in the top 7, but now they're here, Game 2. They are able to hold on to this building, but they know that there is another squad underneath them. So they need to be careful. They don't want to try to overextend here. They need to watch out for that squad, or else that squad is going to overtake that same space.
And it looks like Complexity in that same position as well. I told you how much fun Complexity listen-ins are. Well, do we have a treat for you? Let's go ahead and jump into a listen-in with Complexity, see how they play this.
These might be free fucking kills. We can just
we
walk
could go
up.
early, too.
We're going pills.
I'm down to go early. You want to go early?
Shit on 181 on Caustic.
Okay. I'm going early. I'm going early. I'm going early now.
I'm gonna stay. Jump padded onto the roof too.
Oh, they're all Valk ulting. They're all Valk ulting. We gotta look at this team here.
I killed one off the Valk team.
Okay, nice.
I'm jet ulting our east.
They landed on our roof, guys. Landed on me. On behind me.
I'm bubbling. I'm bubbling.
Might want to res, Shiny?
Res.
1 sec.
We have to.
Sticking.
Okay.
Let's get away from the window.
More barrels
There's
if
a
you can.
bubble on us, man. Just
Yeah, there is. There.
42.
Got one.
I'm down. I'm in a bub. Just heal.
I'm shitting on them underneath, on the other side. Like so many
shit
fucking
on behind
kills.
this one. 1 HP killed. I'm dead to Caustic gas up.
Okay, come to me.
I'm coming to you. I'm shielding for you. Kill this barrel, Mom. Kill this barrel.
One's out, one's on us.
That's fine, it's fine. Just play us, man. Play us. You live.
Res, go. No, I'm holding above. You're fine.
It's from the window.
It's just above. They're Caustic gas.
Okay, it's fine. It's fine. We're just getting out of here. Wait, yeah, I might be able to get bubble off here.
Come down for me. Hold, just hold.
I'm living.
Alright. Move.
I'm dead to gas. No, I'm not.
We're good.
I have full shield.
It's through the middle. Careful, don't play my corner.
Break that. Oh, fuck. I'm fine. I can heal through it.
Heal through that bitch.
Check for mobies, maybe.
I don't have any.
I'm dead. Can't heal through it. Yep.
Come to me.
I am. I'm here. I'm against the wall. If they shoot, if they gas, you have to break it.
Okay, I'm just gonna have to fight this team in front.
Yep, you're good, Mom.
Might be able to Valk ult here, Rep. By yourself.
Facts. No, I'm dead.
It's just insane how comfortable Complexity is being uncomfortable. One of the most uncomfortable positions here is Monsoon. Should be getting taken out momentarily, but you always say should, and you never know what this guy can pull off. Reptar gets knocked again. It looks like Complexity will be out here momentarily. Monsoon with the shield swap doing everything he possibly can. Can he go insane? No, he gets taken out to the hands of Lou, who's nearby. We have Oxygen. We have Sentinels. We still have Sign Us Please, who's been looking near perfect so far.
Yeah, that was really funny to watch. Also, Monsoon just dance around his own Caustic barrels. And Sentinels have the Kraber in their hand, and they are also peeking. The dome is the only thing stopping Sino from taking that shot. Now that it's gone down, he gets the crack. 123. 3 more shots left in the Kraber.
This is an insane finish. The angles and how stacked and close each team is, each player, just a hair, a centimeter away of being within line of sight. And Sentinels just gets to watch it all from the scope of their Kraber. What an end game this will be. Let's jump into a listening with Sentinels and hear their comms.
He went above us. Okay, I'm bubbling on the right side over here. Okay?
Give you 120.
Okay.
Above us.
He's dropping in our bubble. Dropping in our bubble.
Give me that.
Crack, keep going. Crack two. He's trying to stay alive. Nice, nice. We got second. We got second. Good shit. Nice.
I just no scope this kid out the air, bro. These kids are so bad.
And there you have it. Knights will be your champions. We jumped in for listening, thought we'd give some casters magic. Instead, perhaps a caster's curse as Sentinels gets taken out. But jokes aside, Knights is going to do it. Coming from Fragment West, they didn't have to travel very far, Vicky. They came out on top.
They had the best position too. They were off to the side. They weren't susceptible to getting sandwiched. I like the way that they played that at the very end. And it's funny, we wanted to do the listening to see what was going to happen. Maybe a follow-up after that Kraber shot. But no, instead, they just wasted no time. Knights, again, off to the side, was able to position themselves to go in, sandwich the squad that was holding the inside building. And they also secure 9 kills next to Sinus Please. Except Knights, they take the victory and they take those extra 12 points, setting them up with 21 points after that game too.
Yeah, that's a big game for Knights. But right behind them, I see Sentinels, and I see Sentinels being consistent. We saw Sentinels dominate week 1. We thought maybe, oh maybe, is this our new dynasty? They looked so good. Week 2, well, they were quiet. Here we are in week 3. Well, 2 back-to-back solid games from Sentinels. That should put them at least in second place, maybe even in first place, given their consistency. We'll, of course, take a look at the overall standings when we have a moment, but looking our way further down the list, we got Complexity with 7 points overall, a modest game for them, but still, the big game 1 should keep them on top. CLX, one of our rookie teams with Cruz and Luxford, they play solid as well. They get a few kills, and they take home 9 points. Good games overall and across the board here, but in the end, it was Knights who does it with a solid game. Nice job to them.
Hey, yeah, Joey Blackout out here with 4 kills, 1,400 damage, having the most damage out of all the rest of the squad. But I want to highlight what you were just talking about. Sentinels, consistency. This is the squad that didn't turn up week 2 in comparison to their performance week 1, where they blew NA out of the water. But now I'm seeing that same type of consistency come out despite them not winning game 1 and game 2. It's the fact that they've been able to rack up 7 kills in the first game and now 6 kills in the second game.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I want to keep an eye on Sentinels, right? Because look, I don't want to take away from their consistency. They've been playing well. Obviously, they dominated week 1, but they've gotten 2 favorable zones, Vicky. They got a southeast zone that was right by where they drop in Lava Siphon, and then they get a zone that's right through the Geyser Choke, which of course is not bad for them coming from Lava Siphon or that former sorting factory spot. So we'll keep a close eye on Sentinels. We'll see if they can keep it up, as they're going to tie with Complexity. Obviously, Complexity wins the tiebreaker because they've gotten a win. But our top 3 is Complexity, Sentinels, and Knights. Some large esports organizations, but perhaps not the large ones you'd expect to be in this top 3 with C9, Team Liquid, and TSM in this lobby.
And not that big of a gap either between 4th and 5th place. 24 points in comparison to 19. And Sinus Please moving up 7 spots, popping off right next to Knights 2, who also just moved up 6 spots after that performance in game number 2 and taking the whole thing. I like what we're seeing right now for after that game 2 and looking at where our teams are standing. But now we have teams sitting in 20th, in last place, like TSM, with not the best performance in game 1 and 2, which surprisingly in game 2, it looked like the circle was going to favor TSM. We know that they're constantly landing in Frag East, but they decided to rotate a little late, maybe expecting to see if they could take these early game fights in Fragment.
Yeah, and you know, I mentioned that during the cast. This is a good time to kind of break it down, right? Look, you don't want to look and say, hey, they've had 2 bad games and be overly critical, but you got to call a spade here. I'm not sure if I agree with that decision not to actually early rotate into Respawn Village. When you know it's going to pull there, you know it's generally pulling there. They didn't get the beacon information they wanted, so perhaps they didn't have the intel that we had. I'm not sure if that was the reason, but the decision and the fact that Complexity and Torrent from Overlook and from near Climatizer Epicenter was able to rotate there first is a bit questionable. So not sure if that was the right decision for TSM. As a result, they're currently in last place. We've seen it before though. TSM starting slow. We'll see if they can bounce back here because they got 4 more games to do it. Can TSM, can Cloud9 or Team Liquid pull back here in our last 4 games, or will Complexity and Sentinels continue to soar? We'll find out after this break.
Lenovo Legion. Gaming PCs that are stylish on the outside and savage on the inside. Lenovo Legion is the official PC and monitor of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Apex Legends Global Series North American Pro League. And I tell you what, if you like your food spicy, then I'm not on board with that. But if you like your Apex spicy, then I am the man to bring along to the party, because, Dan, this has been a very, very interesting start to the show. We'll look at the top of the leaderboards because we need to give some respect to those teams who have been up there. Sentinels back-to-back second places now. But at the other end of things, TSM, where you at?
What's wrong with spicy food? But no, anyway, yeah, where are TSM? Because that's 2 games now. They've dropped out in about, what, 19th and 18th position? Not good enough. They're not going to be happy. We know, we have TSM, I think all of us as Apex fans, they are the cream of the crop. They have been, they always have been. They won back-to-back titles. They were the team, right? So we always expect greatness from them. And they just haven't performed today. They haven't performed in Pro League particularly well overall. And we know that they have it within them to change. So I think that's why there's always that expectation. That's why there's always those predictions that are there. We kind of were just waiting for that moment. But in the first 2, Mark, it just hasn't happened.
And it hasn't happened with Cloud9 either, as we actually watched the first eliminations that came out of this game at number 1, and that was C9 taking them out immediately third-partied afterwards. So it didn't really work out for either of the teams in that game number 1. But C9 as well, not had the best of performances. But let's go back to a more positive note here, Dan. Let's talk about the teams who have won so far. Complexity and Knights. And Complexity, my word, Monsoon is backing up the words on Twitter. The man looks like he's playing like a man possessed.
Yeah, he went heavy with his fingers on the internet, which is always a dangerous thing to do. It can come to bite you in the backside, but he ensured he backed up his heavy fingers, and they have been playing very successful. Another team we also need to mention, Sentinels. A bad week 2 compared to their amazing week 1, but it seems like they have found their week 1 form once again.
It's crazy to think, isn't it? We could have said that Sentinels had a bad week 2 and they won because of how good their first week was, but they are looking on top form at the moment, and I just want to give a shout out to my boy Senox. That man is hitting some crazy shots, and I'm loving everything I'm seeing out of them. But here we go. It's time for game 3 now. Game 2 is just a distant memory as we're going to hop on board with our team dropping over at West Frag, and that's going to be Knights, the winners of your game number 2.
Yeah, it was a nice comfortable victory for them in the end when we watched it from their POV. They just joined a bubble fight right at the end, did the damage, and it was easy as you like. I'm sure they'd like to find something similar, but we know that is going to be a long time away here in match number 3. Endgame is just something you have to hope for right now. Instead, it's all about trying to think about where you're going to go and how you're going to get into this zone, and where is that zone going to be.
I just want to jump in here, and I want to say I'm counting that as a north zone. By the way, I'm counting that last zone as a
previous
north
one.
Zone.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
100% a northern zone, just to give my brain some sort of parity and restore some sort of sanity to it. But we'll have to see, like you're saying, where that zone is going to be pulling. It's going to be just a classic loot path here for Knights, who are going to be feeling really good. Obviously so, after the win in the last game and the way they managed to do it. And hey, order is restored. We're heading back south. It's southwest this time, as we do have some Harvester involved and some staging. Dan, train station also maybe a little bit of an option if we do see one of those funky pulls towards Thermal Station. We'll have to see how this one plays out.
Yeah, I'm looking at the northwest side of Harvester. That little snake area is one of my favorite positions to hold with a circle like this. Harvester in general, pretty good because you should be able to stay there for quite a while, but with some of the janky pulls we have seen, and the fact that this lobby does seem to like to go for kind of against the grain positions to try and avoid other lobby members, maybe they will go towards the staging area as well and hope for a pull that way. But certainly this is going to be an interesting one. Plenty of areas to reside in. We should get a healthy lobby going into like zones 3 and 4. There shouldn't be too many teams eliminated, but at the same time, after a disappointing couple of games for some of these teams, maybe they'll look to try and play a little bit more aggressive.
There's a pad coming in from CLX here. Just going to hit this balloon to continue on their way. And there's something almost like symbolic about Monsoon playing Caustic and running around with a hammer after the first 2 games, because he has just been smashing people to bits down. It's been really good to see Monsoon back on that kind of form where he's just not missing those shots. And I'm sure he's been doing it, just not getting the results alongside his 2 teammates, which, of course, we need to give Reptar and Shiny all the plaudits in the world as well, because no one player can do it alone. As we all know, they contribute so much to Complexity's success. But to see Monsoon in that last game, the damage he was doing and his survivability, yes, Caustic obviously helps that, but I feel like the hammer was a great symbol of that.
Yeah, the Caustics have been extremely important in both EMEA and NA. I think there was 7 Caustics that I counted in this lobby. The main difference we're seeing between NA and EMEA in terms of compositions as well is just lack of crypto. There are a couple here or there, but not many too prevalent. We are seeing plenty of Bloodhound as well, and I think there was 1 fuse that was involved. I think Mercy only was playing a fuse earlier, so there was a little bit of variance here or there, and a few Octanes sprinkled in, and not many Wraiths. We saw lots of Wraiths in EMEA, but one of those Wraiths is here and now on TSM, who have gone back to their tried and tested composition after going with a crypto idea last week. Didn't work out for them, but they need a game here on set. They need to step up, and we need to see the TSM that can win these lobbies.
And we know their fans are going to be very excited to see them pop off in this game as well. So TSM fans, hold on to your hats, because it's now or never for these 3 gentlemen. But they do have a really good spot here. It's a spot that you mentioned earlier on, Dan. This snake gives them options to rotate out ahead of everybody else in Harvester when they start to stack up as that zone starts to close.
Yeah, it also gives you a little bit of natural coverage as well. The ridge above you, you can use that to protect your east side. So then you can just focus on the team that is maybe coming from your west, and then you should be all right. But, you know, when it gets to that situation in the late game, usually there's 3 or 4 teams that could be staring at you once you exit a building as well. So it's about delaying it to a point where you have got into the last 10, maybe last 8, and then you have to push out and you have to make that play. But a Wraith is very handy in those kind of scenarios, so we'll see whether it does pay off a little bit later. Here's our game winners from last, and maybe Knights are going to be involved in one of the first fights of this game.
The scan comes in to give them the information. They're actually going to back away from this one and head out north, back towards Landslide, where they might be thinking about just taking their time around here and playing for that next beacon as well, just to get that extra zone information. You can see that they have the beacon for now, but when that zone closes, they will have the option to do so. Hit it again in around 3 minutes, which we're seeing a lot of teams do at the moment. Not playing Valkyrie, though, so the rotation won't be as simple as maybe some other teams have. The team who's on the other end of the vault tunnel, though, here at the Mining Pass, is Sinus Please. And it seems like they want to jiggle and they want to poke and they want to see if they can get some damage down and continue on their rotation. Look at the kill feed, though. Reps picking up a knock. And that's going to be onto Complexity, as Complexity seem to have just fallen over.
Yeah, that's 2 members of Complexity down. Make it 3. Complexity wiped off screen. A combination of TSM and others to ensure that Complexity going out game 3 here in first place, or, well, first place to be eliminated. I guess it is last place, effectively. 20th position. That's not going to be a tough... that's going to be a tough pill to swallow for them, and they certainly going to be looking at that one, and I'm sure I'd like to see how it happened. Elsewhere, Absolute Monarchy also in a bit of a kerfuffle right now.
Stompy's having to hit that battery. And now there's going to be someone wide swinging. However, he's got a teammate looking over his shoulder. Some great shots coming in with the scout there, connecting with not only the body, but the head as well, just to get that extra damage down. And with that damage down, it looks like Absolute Monarchy are trying to force this fight as well. The scan will come in and Stompy's gets that first knock. So now it's a 2v3. The bubble will go down to give them that cover to try and push from. The Eva rate in hand as well. That'll be the second. Can they clean up the third? Sleepy Panda's on the flank here. This should be comfortable. However, Stompy's is left on his own now. And oh! The 2v3 doesn't quite happen, as it looked like. Stompy's did manage to get the win there, and Absolute Monarchy will survive, but that looks scary.
Yeah, that was a Halloween fright if I've ever seen one. That was a trick or treat, and I thought it was just going to be entirely a trick with no treat whatsoever, but Absolute Monarchy just about surviving. Yeah, I think they would have probably had their hearts in their mouths throughout that engagement when they saw 2 of them go down, but alas, doesn't matter. A distant memory now. They've got KP, and they progress, and they hold this area of the map, which they may think is going to be quite a vital one indeed. It was one of those fights where both of them were kind of flexing their chest a little bit, kind of pumping themselves, showing what they were made of, and it was just about who got that first knock, and the first knock proved to be very important.
Back over to our previous game winners in Knights, and it looks like they are just going to hold down Landslide and play for that next beacon. Got 2 players up on ultimate height in the middle as well, so Asura just playing a little bit away from his teammates, which you would expect on the Octane. Has that ability to stim back and get back to help them out should there be that requirement from him. But TSM are just going to be chilling for now. They're not going to be under too much fire. For now, it's going to be about leveling up Evo shields, doing the damage they need to. And Hal's got a pretty nice loadout to work with as well. He's got a fully kitted R301 here outside of that barrel. Gold mag for him as well. So they're looking pretty comfortable. Tore down on that low ground as well. That's Torrent. You've got Sentinels up on the high ground. And as you can see, all these teams just starting to stack up on each other. Fallout said it was like pancakes. And to be honest, I have to agree with him.
Pancakes. We also need to see where this next zone goes then. We're going to get information soon as round 2 begins, and now people can scan their beacons once more. Of course, for these teams that are already in Harvester, it's going to be difficult to get a scan without the likes of Crypto. TSM, for example, are probably just going to have to sit, wait, and wait for info from other teams. Sometimes you'll see info naturally by other teams rotating across the map. You'll be like, well, they know something that we don't, so perhaps we have to follow suit. There is one scan, of course, in Harvester, so a team that will be able to pick it up, and there's the information for us. So, as predicted, it does move slightly towards the vault and towards that snake that TSM are currently residing in, and still plenty of that bridge over by staging as well. So all the teams who did predict this kind of area will be more than happy with their current positioning. The teams just on the outside of staging, they're going to have to move their way in ever so slightly, and also the teams nearer to thermal and train station, there could be a little bit of congestion down there towards the train tracks.
I noticed in the feed there that Liquid lost a couple of players to knock, so Liquid are in a little bit of a shambles at the moment. EA up on this tracks though, overlooking staging. I should say more than overlooking, just dealing out a huge amount of damage. Switches to the PK. Tries to choke up that shot to see if he can get the final damage that is required. Depressor will be there to get the knock though onto Pastillo. And Astral Esports are trying to make their way across staging, maybe towards zone, but this is what I was talking about. Team Liquid at least have managed to get one of them back on their feet. Fon's going to have to pop this Phoenix kit, and the question is, can he get it done before he burns to death? Yes, he can for now, but Nocturnal, they don't have his banner at the moment, Dan, and Liquid are getting shot from multiple angles here.
Yeah, it's just about desperately trying to survive at this point. I don't even know if that banner's going to be retrievable, and I'm starting to wonder whether even surviving is going to be a possibility here, because there's so many eyes on Team Liquid right now. They have at least been able to get together, so that is gonna kind of task 1 completed. Ensure that you're a 2, so at least you're at your best strength when you get into an engagement, but we'll see whether actually they're able to survive a little bit later. Cloud9 have also got a couple of KP to work with. Knight's now holding this tunnel after getting that beacon information, and it's whether they just hold this tunnel, then back off and decide to go back through the vault late, but they already know a team is in vault, so it's going to be a decision as to where they want to rotate and how they want to do so.
Well, there's sharks in the water for Knights now, and it's Cloud9 having just picked up those KP onto senior service. Let's jump into a listen-in with C9, see what the next move is going to be.
So smart.
Good shit, boys. Good KP.
We don't
That's
have
what
the
we do,
time.
bro. Just play third,
Yeah,
bro. Play edge.
Play from our side. We have to play our side.
Good shit.
All right,
Good
let's
call.
go. We have to go get a spot
Go for
now.
yellow thing, right?
Yeah, we have to.
Yeah.
It's
They
storm
probably
2.
know
We
we're
could,
coming.
hang on, it's zone 2. We could get beacon and land side.
Yeah, I think we do that, and then we can still come this way if we want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You never pat in there, bro, by the way. I just wanted to play passive and angle them because
Yeah,
of that spot they were at.
I kept asking you for a scan, and you weren't
Yeah,
giving me.
I know, I
Don't
ran
go over
obviously
the play
just
that already
stands
happened yet. Don't go over the play that already happened.
You're right. You're right.
Fuck up.
Correct.
I need to look
100%.
for energy on this guy.
They both had light. It was light and heavy. They're shooting us away here. They're not gonna let us get beacon.
All right, so
Well,
we're just
they're
going.
octane Gibby Caustic. They can't even hit the beacon.
Yeah, they're just holding us. I mean, I'm down to storm fight them. They'll lose their spot.
Yes.
Locking up with you. They'll probably just go tunnel, man.
Are they on a crazy heady? Like, is this unpushable?
Gibby
or is
right
this
there.
pushable?
Gibby's on the heady.
Can I slide down to the right?
They do have a blood. It's not a caustic.
Oh, then fuck that. I'm not
No
sliding down the
connects.
wall. That's a horrible idea. I'm very certain I saw a caustic in barrels, but
No, the caustic was a knock guy.
Keep in mind, we have to go far, by the way. Like, there might be a team holding in snakes, so
no
like this might be
damage.
weird. Should we?
Let's get zone
We might
four
as well just
frag.
hit zone 4 and frag. Yeah, I was gonna say.
we have a pad there.
That wouldn't be bad at all, because then that snake team,
Do
if
I
they are
save my
there, will
pad or
never
do I throw a
expect it.
pad here?
Wait, look. The Valkyrie's just right here. She res.
Wait,
Hold on,
wait,
go.
go. We let them touch the floor, right?
Yeah.
Don't kill the
He's
Valk yet.
chilling.
I'm chasing the Valk. I'll chase the Valk.
Yeah. Naughty, give me play for kills.
Yeah, we're playing for the 2. You better be better than that kid, bro. Fucking much better than that kid.
He's flying. There's nothing I can do about it. He's flying up to you guys.
I just no-regged 5 times. They fell pit.
I know.
I dropped on them, Naughty.
Can you
I am
scan
as
towards
well.
me, Naughty? He
Hold on.
flew
I'm on a
towards me.
kid.
I don't know where
I
I'm
think.
at.
They went inside.
Can you scan, bro?
2 seconds, man.
All right.
I have to heal as well, so like I don't
The
know.
Valk got a full heal because she flew
I'm on
back
a
up
med
to
kit
you
right
guys.
now. The Gibby went that way.
And if you wanted an example, Dan, of how many decisions have to be made at the top level of Apex Legends in these kind of lobbies, we've just got it from Cloud9. First, it was, okay, we'll rotate through here. Secondly, I'll come back to that thought in a second as Voltic will go down. Secondly, it will be, okay, let's hit beacon. Okay, we can't do that. Okay, let's go and hit 4th beacon inside a fragment. And then, oh, let these 2 players land before we take down this solo, because then we get extra KP. So much to talk about and so many decisions being made by C9.
Also, one thing I picked up on was their ability to ignore the fight that just happened when it comes to conversation. It's very easy as a team to say, why did we do this? We didn't do that right. And quite rightly, the IGL just saying, guys, stop it. Let's focus on the next fight. We can talk about that after the game. And then also, they had the whole legend composition thing. They thought they were going up against potentially a caustic. They thought the other team couldn't do it. Anyway, fight happening.
Wow, great shots coming in from the wingman here. Sinus, please. Looking to put a couple of people to bed, and they are going to do exactly that. And that's Knights who are playing on the other side of this vault tunnel. That is a big win for Sinus, please. They now have complete control of this tunnel. They don't have to worry about their backs, as that zone is going to be doing the work for them.
Yeah, and I'm wondering what caused Knights to suddenly push into that. If you look at where the circle is, they could have waited outside of the tunnel for a little bit longer, but perhaps they were a little bit concerned that C9 would come in and sweep things up, or would come and pinch them if they weren't quick enough. Difficult to tell because we didn't see the right of the start of the engagement. However, Sinus, please, will be delighted with that one. They've been patient in these tunnels for quite some time in the vault area, and really does show you can go from kind of heroes to zeros just in a couple of games. Knights from 1st place down to 18th, and again, another demonstration of how difficult it is to find consistency in Apex Legends when the zones don't necessarily play out how you would like.
Oh, I said that C9 were sharks in the water a minute ago. Well, this isn't sharks. This is letting people know. The scan comes in from both teams. C9 deciding to rotate here through this mine pass.
And having seen Knights just go down, this is going to be a very, very difficult fight for them to win as well. No initial damage really being done by either team here. Albrelli is having to pop a battery, so you would say HP advantage maybe to their opponents. But C9 have got around 15 seconds to make a little bit more damage. The zone will close. And then they're going to have to go forward. Here's the bubble. Thermite goes in as well. People up on top. Both bubbles going to be exchanged. Albrelli will be the first player down, and that's not good news for C9. And they go down. And Sinus, please. They are the kings of the Mine Pass.
Yeah, they're basically Gandalf right now. You shall not pass! And no one will pass because they are fighting perfectly in that tunnel. Not even the best of the best C9 could get through. As elsewhere, Liquid, they're in a little bit of trouble, but some big grenades coming out from Fun.
Huge grenades coming out and Fuse. Welcome back to the ALGS. We saw a little bit of it from Fury. And oh, look at that. This as well. Beautiful placement. All sorts of numbers. It's like they're playing bingo at the moment with the amount of damage that's being done by Fun. But the knocks not quite being converted into kills as yet. But Liquid, this is a great run from them, having lost their rate so early on.
Yeah, inevitable that we've seen a few teams wiped out down to just 14 squads now as the zone is closing, less room to be playing. And Team Liquid still alive, still being a nuisance here at the moment, but at what point do they just get jumped on, or do they just lose that one player? Too much damage is taken. They certainly can make their way into the top 10 perhaps if they can keep worming it out. But you'd imagine as two players stuck down there, many eyes on them, it's inevitably going to end up in tears as we jump back to TSM, who are now going to have to make their way away from the snake they've been holding throughout the entire game because the zone has moved ever so slightly away from Harvester.
Big opportunity here, though. Sentinels in the feed as well, picking up a few kills along the way. Snipedown will pick up one. How will pick up another as well. And that's 2 kills going out of TSM. FTX, as they now move their way back to Snake. Great angles being taken by Hal on Wraith, and it's something that we need to see them do. It's something that we need to see how to use that ability to jump into the void, get those aggressive portals out to pick up some KP. But now they have to be careful of that team coming from the mining pass, and they also have to be so aware of their surroundings as Reps has that scout on his back, and so does Snipedown here, just looking for any kind of targets they can deal damage to.
So some of the best areas you can see on the map there, staging. There's a building that you could be holding. There's also just south, the train tracks are going to be a great spot to be holding right now. And also the rocks on the other side of the vault tunnel that we saw all of those fights happen earlier. So Sinus, please, if they can get out comfortably, they could be in one of the better positions, because other than that, you're pretty much just in open ground as Xenox will go down to the caustic gas of Torrent, and now Crust falls as well. So Sentinel's starting to get just drilled here by many teams.
Well, TSM have great vision on so many teams and so many players. Let's jump into the listening now and see what TSM have got in the comms.
Yeah, we're good.
Right I scanner back, nothing.
On ping, cracked. Crack the blood.
I don't have nades.
Don't need that. I have 30 light.
I have 110.
I have 96.
You need to draw me. I have a 301. Draw me some light.
I have 35 light now.
Here, I dropped 20. Down
below. Look here.
Cracked.
Yeah, I can't do anything about that. We just hold high ground and kill this Gibby. Gibby's cracked.
I can't see him.
I'm nading him.
I have ulti. On us. I have to
I think we need to drop. We're gonna have to fight this.
No, we just have to fight. I'm aping.
Gibby's low. Play mine up.
No. Last guy's.
No.
TSM eliminated, but not without picking up some KP along the way, and it is the Kings of the Mine Pass who come back in again to pick up yet more kills. Sinus, please stop taking lives in this lobby because they have so many KP already.
Yeah, it was just a difficult situation there for TSM. You heard it. They had to fight, and unfortunately, just the engagement didn't go quite too well. I think Noko Puffs was on the other side. That also made it a little bit awkward because he was doing extra damage in the side of TSM. Puts us down to 6 squads. Sinus, please, in one of the better positions with high ground and plenty of shield swaps to work with. All of the loot you could want. Ammo should be very comfortable for them. Elsewhere, SXG, Oxygen, W, Estral Esports, and E8 are remaining teams. A real chance to pick up some points here in the lobby.
Yeah, SXG, as I mentioned at the start, one of my dark horses. They've been performing really well recently. Estral Esports looking to do it for South America as well here. As they take a little look to their left, or I should say North America, excuse me, doing it for Mexico. As I get my geography, I actually have a geography degree, which is pretty terrifying that I've just said that, but
But now they've got the bubble down. The defensive bombardment will be used to try and force the teams down off of height. OXG down on that low ground as well. And for now, it's a standoff between these teams, but Estral Esports are going to have to move from that small amount of cover that they do have at the moment. Pastillo goes down for them. Depressley with the longbow does the work.
I like this spot from SXG as well, but it's Sinus Please still causing so much mayhem in the kill feed, and they're picking up KP after KP. Look at the damage they're outputting as well, synced up to 1,370, and that will be the wipe. 5 squads now remaining with Estral being eliminated. The bombardments are starting to fall, and the lobby really starting to heat up here.
OXG still down on that low ground, which could be a pretty good place to play as the teams will have vision on each other across the way, can't afford to take their eyes off of each other. And being on that low ground, you have that last minute opportunity to climb up and try and do some damage. Fu goes for the Sky Nade as Sinus Please try and control all of this side of World's Edge around that respawn building. They're going to be just kind of overlooking all the fighting that's going on. If the fight does break out on top of that roof or outside of the building, they're going to have great vision on it as the EMP does a huge amount of damage as well.
You know, a team who is in a position that could cause some trouble here is Oxygen. They're down pretty much central zone at the moment. Even though they're on the low ground, they could just slowly and silently go about their business whilst everyone else destroys and does damage, and then they could pick up the pieces. However, if they do get spotted out, if some scans come through, suddenly things could be a little bit difficult. They could be bombarded with grenades and whatnot, so they do just have to be a little bit careful. As I say that, Synced has just picked up another knock as well for Sinus Please, so they're still causing trouble up on that high ground.
Yeah, set them down as well, so that L-Star is still ripping through shields. And before the patch comes in and the new season starts, maybe they should have renamed it to the Death Star, because it does feel like something out of Star Wars still. And the amount of damage that it does done is almost a planet destroyer, but here's another example of it. Synced up on this high ground, shooting through the little cracks in that bridge. Sinus Please trying to creep their way forward and just take advantage of any of these knocks that are going down. Finish off those downs, get the KP for yourself, and just clear out the entire side of the map. These two teams are going to have to fight. They're going to have to ape each other, and only one can survive. And if you can pick up a few shots into the back, then you can do some damage. Wicked with some good shots for the 301-2.
The main competition for Sinus Please has to be Oxygen. They're down there waiting. Sinus Please know they're there, but if any damage is done by the two teams who are forced down to Oxygen here, Sinus Please should just be able to clean up everything after the damage has happened. But with the bubbles coming out, with the bombardments here as well, things have got more difficult.
I don't know if they meant to drop here, but it seems to have worked out. Wicked picks up one. He's got the Mastiff in hand as well, but so much visual clutter in front of him, so difficult to survive as we now find ourselves down to 3, and it's W who have held this high ground for so long, just looking down. They have both sides of this crevice just covered at the moment, and they should be in a great position to close this out. Scissors will pick up one. Phony moves in. Two players, excuse me, remaining. The bubble goes down. It's just a bubble fight for the win here, and W will convert on that opportunity, take their advantages, and pick up that champion banner.
Sinus Please, I mean, I don't know if it was the positioning from W that almost forced Sinus Please to have to push, or whether it was a misstep by one person that was then the commitment from the rest to ensure that he didn't go down on his own. Regardless, W will be delighted with that one in that final circle. They were able to force one of the other teams off the top of them. They tried to bubble push, the other team retreated, and they said, okay, we'll take the high ground then, and the rest just kind of played out comfortably in their hands. How many kills did they pick up? 7 kills they were able to grab, which I'm sure they will be more than happy with.
Really, really impressive stuff from W to close out that game. I'm sorry that every time you start speaking, I start smiling, by the way, because I just look over and I'm like, you look absolutely ridiculous. Like, you look like a create a character and someone's just pressed random and just you've ended up with a weird hat. Beard. I don't know what's going on, but here's the game's 3 results. W on top as we I only see them for 2 seconds there, but if my eyes will deceive me, it's 7 kills for them to go along with those 12 placement points. E8 in second, and OXG coming up in third. But SXG, I want to see them as well. 7 kills for them, but Sinus Please, we saw them down. They were on a tear. 13 KP and 18 points, second most in the lobby.
Yeah, can someone Blummin sign them already? Jeez, because, I mean, 13 kills. Their placement wasn't great in the end. They probably should have got top 3 with where they were. I don't know if it was a misstep or they felt they had to push, but the push just didn't work out for them. They had done enough, though, with the amount of KP they picked up whilst they were holding that vault. Unfortunately for them, though, it just didn't play out the way they would have liked, and W come out on top in terms of the actual placement, and they get 1 more point than them overall. TSM did have a better game than they had in the previous 2, but unfortunately, again, once they had transitioned out of that snake, there wasn't really too much to work with, and there were several other teams also playing for that position. One rat, I think, was a thorn in their side. It did so much damage, so they didn't have a straight 3v3 in the fight. They did lose. But on top was W. They got the damage, they got the kills, and they'll be on top of the world.
Well, here's the stats. As you can see, 3 kills going down to Fury. Just over a K damage for him across the board as well. Phony, a very good performance from him on the Gibraltar, and great execution in that final bubble fight. Some of those situations you can kind of get carried away with. You see all the fighting going down in front of you, and before you know it, you kind of one person gets knocked by just doing something silly, and all of a sudden it's a 2v2 and it turns into a problem. But they kept their composure there, Dan. Very good discipline from the team to just close that one out.
Speaking of silly, we've got Kate. Kate, and I don't mean to be mean, but that's the best way I could
don't take that from
go
him,
into
Kate.
that one.
Look at the man. Look at the state of him. Create a character, Dan Gaskin. Call it. I'm ridiculous.
Takes one to know one there, everybody. But don't you worry, Dan, because I'm coming to you for our first question. That's right. And the thing is, I want to go back to this. We just saw that team comp from W. You can't not see Loba and go, really? What an interesting compilation of things. So my question really quick, starting off with us, Dan, is we saw a lot of teams fielding that Bloodhound Gibby Crypto. And we saw a lot fielding the Blood Gibby Wraith. And then we saw the Valcosta Gibby. Like, talk to me a little bit about the team comps that you saw and kind of where you're expecting here and once we go through our highlights.
In North America, we're seeing a lot less crypto. We're seeing a lot more bloodhounds. There's a lot more aggression, and also I think just people being comfortable having those scans because you gain so much information from them. But yeah, the Loba really does play a very important part in the end game because it depletes the resources of other teams, but also gives you plenty of resources to work with as well. If you know there's a Loba around, suddenly none of your resources you've managed to save or find are safe. If you've got 3 or 4 shield swaps on the floor that you know you can have, you suddenly don't know if those shield swaps are actually there or not, which then just puts doubt in your mind and can make quite an awkward endgame for you. So you really have to be on top of your communication with the rest of your teammates to ensure you know what is where and whether it is still there indeed. We're seeing about 7 caustics in the lobby, so there is a lot of gas that is floating around. A lot of these buildings are difficult to take from others because they're being held successfully by the caustic teams. And we're seeing, of course, plenty of Gibby. Far more Gibby than we did in EMEA. I know that sounds weird because usually we see Gibby in every comp, but in EMEA they didn't play Gibby in every comp. Actually, I think it was only around 80%, just a rough guesstimate. But here in NA, we see far more many teams comfortable on the Gibraltar.
And Onset, I want to jump into here. As we see Sign Us Please, let's talk about the many, many good plays that we saw. Take out teams like Team Liquid with their Valk and Knights later on to beat Cloud9. Talk to me a little bit about Sign Us Please before we jump into W, our winners of game number 3.
Yeah, I mean, Sign Us Please played that last game absolutely almost to perfection. Apart from that little misplay towards the end, you would say, maybe. I don't know if they meant to hit the pad in the way that they did, or if they meant to actually try and cross to that high ground to take the fight that was in front of them. But, you know, whatever happened. They fell down to that low ground. But when you win a straight 3v3 fight and you don't get third party, like I mentioned a million times, and people at home probably get a little bit bored of me saying it, confidence flows. You're not afraid to take another fight because you just won one. And when you take it against a team like C9 as well, that fight that was in Tunnel that was instrumental to both teams' games, and you win it, then you're not afraid of anyone. You're happy to take on anyone. And this was that fight that I'm talking about. Sign Us Please flying in, Wicked doing great work alongside Tempest, and the damage getting done. Take out C9, you can take out anyone.
Absolutely. And one thing I do want to touch on here, Gaskin, is while we take a look at the highlights, I do want to mention south-facing, south-pulling zones. Speaking of things that sound like a broken record, what are we looking for in terms of zones pulling out next game and the games after? We're knee-deep into this 6-game round. South? Just call it like it is, Ansa?
I think at this point, you presume south, and if it's not, you are slightly surprised, and then you wait for another south circle in the game afterwards. It does just seem to be that that's the way it's going in the ALGS at the moment, and I'm sure that, you know, maybe next split or when we get later to the playoffs, there'll all be north zones, perhaps. But there's the overall leaderboard. Sign us, please, up to 37 points now. They overtake Sentinels, who weren't able to get as far in that game there on 34, but W also an 8 position leap there, up to 30 points in 3rd position. So really impressed with that, and TSM will move up a little bit as well on set, but 16th, it still isn't TSM standard, is it?
No, it's not. And 15th and 16th, Cloud9 TSM ain't good enough for both of them. And I'm sure they'd just be happy to acknowledge that themselves. Torrent in 9th place, though. They dropped down 3 places after the last game, but they've been pretty good so far. SXG, like I mentioned, a little bit of dark horse in this lobby. And overall, in North America, slip up a place as well to 6th place. But I kind of hope we don't see any north zones, because it's been so long since we've been to the north side of World's Edge. I kind of forgot what the POIs are called, to be honest with you. It's getting that kind of out of hand. It's, yeah, I mean, we had every single zone pretty much south in EMEA earlier. We've had every single zone outside of maybe the Respawn Village one, which I called it north. It was being pedantic as you could possibly get, calling that north. It was center zone. Yeah, who knows? We've still got games to come. Everything could change. I could eat my words and my very small hat.
Wow, that's the food for thought. Seriously. Speaking of, we want you to keep up with us, so make sure to follow us on all the socials. But we actually have a tweet from you. Oh my, man, I hate when TSM don't do well. Foxy Noxy, boy, do we hear you there. And well-placed gif. Man, there it is.
I feel like Foxy
gents.
might be a TSM fan. I don't know. I'm just saying. I think she might be a TSM fan. He might be a TSM fan. Who knows?
Little on the nose, but you're absolutely right. And hey, you know what? If you want to be a part of this show, go ahead and slap a hashtag ALGS to a tweet that you would be tweeting at us at Play Apex Esports. You can watch all the action unfold on YouTube at Play Apex Esports and on Twitch, Play Apex, twitch.tv/Play Apex. Use that hashtag ALGS, and maybe, just maybe, we will showcase you on this very stream. But that is all for us for the moment. Don't you worry. We got game number 4 coming up right after this.
Welcome back, everybody, to the ALGS NA Pro League. This is the Halloween edition as we're getting ready for game number 4. And so far, it has been a crazy start to our North America Pro League, Vicky, because we have none other than Sign Us Please going huge in first place as a result. Little mute situation. She's back.
Here we go. All right, we go. Sorry, I was talking them up for so long. This is like the second time I'm talking up a squad in the middle of it. I cannot be stopped. But looking at Sign Us Please, securing that first place spot already with 37 points, moving up 4 places, should highlight how amazing that Game 3 just went for that squad.
Yeah, insane. And what I love about North America, what I love about teams like Sign Us Please, is you see a lot more Bloodhound, Octane, and Gibraltar, which personally is my favorite team composition to play. Also favorite team composition to watch, as it just means you're going to see aggressive gameplay. And you see that happen more in North America, it seems like.
Yeah, actually, want to highlight on that. So we talk about compositions and we see the difference between what we've just witnessed from the EMEA region and NA, and I like how a lot of these squads are playing into what they feel comfortable with. It's been really working out for them. They can kind of get in tune with the playstyles that they like, whether they need to be more aggressive, and I like how in that last game, TSM securing some points, not getting the placing that they want. It's not the TSM look that we're so used to seeing, but they started turning things up. They started playing a lot more aggressive, and that's what I like to see, because they want to work into the compositions that they feel comfortable with in comparison to the crypto that we saw haul on just last week.
Yeah, well, we'll keep an eye on TSM because we're dropping into game number 4. This is do or die for TSM, for Cloud9, currently with 7 and 8 points respectively. They got to go big here in game 4. Otherwise, they risk just falling so far behind the standings, which right now they're quite significantly behind. But there's 3 games left, games 4, 5, and 6, an opportunity for TSM, for Cloud9 about to continue to work their way up the rankings. Meanwhile, Sign Us Please, well, they've been dropping Countdown. It's been working out very, very well for them. Obviously going to find themselves some good loot here as well.
Oh yeah, we are never going to complain about having those 2 purple Evos on drop. We absolutely take those. And Sign Us Please, again, have to highlight the way that they've been playing has just been phenomenal. The week 2 that they came out, we saw them take 4th place, and okay, I feel like we've been blessed so far, Fallout. We've been blessed with these circles pulling north, and now this circle is surrounding TSM where they love to drop. It's got fragment written all over it.
Yeah, that's right. If there's any game where TSM and Cloud9 are going to go big, well, it's this one. Look at this zone, a northern zone landing specifically in Fragment. We're either going to have a Fragment East, Fragment West, or just south of Fragment finish. It's going to be a good one here if you're a fan of the boys in TSM. And trust me, give them your energy because they need it right now. Game 4, blow it up in the chat. Who do you want to win? TSM, Cloud9, Complexity, or are you looking for the team in Sign Us Please, looking to get picked up by an org? They certainly deserve it. Or are you a fan of Sentinels or any of these other teams? Let us know in the chat who you want to win as we take a look at Sentinels. Speaking of which.
And yeah, this is a killer lobby. Just you listing all the teams. I've been seeing them a billion times, but just hearing it again really highlights the high-level competition that we have in this lobby alone, and it is not easy. You can see teams like Sentinels already making their rotation fully blue Evo, and W's actually the 3rd squad that has already made their way over to Fragment, over to Frag West. Actually noted that it was going to be Pittsburgh Knights that are holding that area, and right now W are approaching TSM.
That's a quick rotation. W coming from Landslide, former train yard. They're working their way over to Fragment West, which is where Knights drop, so they got to be careful, but likely they'll be just fine. They're going to be able to find some real estate in Fragment. They'll post up. Complexity, expect them to come momentarily as well. I've been really impressed by Complexity rotating early, but here, look at this. E8 is going to find themselves in an early fight against Estral, our team from Mexico, as it looks like Nemego is going to get taken out early.
Oh, I like that right there. I see you Fallout trying. Okay.
Yep.
With the roll of the tongue there too. E8, now they're going to walk away with that KP, but they didn't finish the squad yet. That was just one straggler that was caught off guard, left behind. So now you currently see E8 positioned on the high ground, just trying to note where the other 2 stragglers may be.
Yeah, E8's been performing well so far. We'll keep an eye on them in this game, because that's another team. The players that have been here before, they've competed. They're currently in 10th place with 13 points. They've been doing okay. One big game away, though, from breaking into that top 3, top 5. And those that are maybe just tuning in for the first time, as we have a moment to relax here for a second, let's take a second to explain the format and how this all is going to work. We have the Pro League for North America, and I'm going to hold that thought for a second, as it looks like CLX is going to be working their way into green. Let's just make sure they can clear this building. And it looks like, yeah, they got some intel. There's no one here. So building is cleared. Back to the point I was making. This is the ALGS Pro League. If you watched the Apex Legends Global Series last year, there were a variety of online tournaments. There were a couple of seasons. You had the summer circuit. You had the autumn circuit. Big shout out to EA for really adapting to all things COVID and giving us some great entertainment. However, This time, we got weekly Pro League matches. The 40 best teams in each region, North America, EMEA, APAC South, APAC North, and so on and so forth, get to compete every single week in a double round robin. There's 40 teams, 4 groups of 10. As a result of the 12 matches, or 6 weeks, because there's 2 per weekend, the top 10 teams are going to qualify for the split playoffs and the chance to make it to a hopeful LAN competition if things are obviously stabilized with COVID and the pandemic, where we'll see an international global competition amongst all regions. So you want to be top 10 in Pro League standings. Each week you have a chance to earn points. First place gets 12 points in overall standings. Second place gets 9 points, and so on and so forth. That's the name of the game here. You got to play consistent.
I like how you were able to highlight that, because it's important to note that TSM currently is situated in 11th place when they were having a pretty good standing. So they're quite literally outside of top 10, just shyly away from that. And I actually believe Sheesh is right behind them too. So that's important to note. Meanwhile, we have teams like C9 quite literally gooning right behind another squad, crouching to not make noise because they see that they're replicating right in front of them.
Yeah, look at this. This is like a wabbit hunt. It's like Elmore hunting for a wabbit right now, as you got the Pittsburgh Knights. I believe it's PK. They've been that pink team. So I think they're still the same highlighted pink. And C9 is just creeping their way in right now, silently and a little maybe too slowly. And here comes the opportunity. They're just going to completely bust on in. They say hello as they take out one member. It's Joey Blackout. You don't see this very often. Pittsburgh Knights going to get caught with their pants down.
Excuse me, we got the memo. It's Halloween. We're here to frighten you up, shake up the competition. They've got it 2 downs, and C9 are going to be able to walk away with that KP once they get that last straggler behind.
They bust right in like the Kool-Aid man right there, as they're able to take out 1, take out 2, and Cloud9 with the sneaky plays here on Halloween, as you said. They're going to get themselves 2 KP.
Just love the way that they were scheming there too.
Yeah. That's the reality. When you're crafting, you're making a lot of noise, and you're putting yourself at a little bit of risk, and Cloud9's going to capitalize. I love that play. Those are things you don't see very often. Big brain plays coming from Cloud9 here on the north side of the map.
Yeah, now they're also going to be able to take a bit of the high ground on top of that Pride Rock overlook. Who wanted to come third party us? You think that you were able to get that on us? We finished our fight rather quickly, and now C9, they're taking another fight, playing as aggressive as they can. They took out one squad. They have no issue taking out this next one.
Yeah, I'm trying to see which squad that is. Try and get that intel. We just saw it for a split second. It's Wizzy, McNuggy, and Amaze, as C9 just wants to continue fighting here. This is the Cloud9 style of play that works very well for them. Aggressive, Octane, Bloodhound, very much like we saw Sinus Please last game. They got some good damage, but this team's going to do a good job neutralizing C9 for now. But look at C9 just slowly collapsing. Zach's going to get caught off guard, but turns and melts. Absolutely beans his opponent, but McNuggy Butt's going to knock him on board with Alberlelli. Got to finish the damage, got to finish what Zach started. He's going to get tagged up and forced to reset. Stay Naughty is weak as well. This is a pretty even fight. It can go either way, but Stay Naughty does the business. He knocks 2. Look who might be here. It's Monsoon and Complexity on the third party.
Oh, at the first, it was a roll of theory that C9 was just creeping up on right here, too, and now Complexity moving in for the third party. That was amazing timing on their part. They're going to clean up. They could go in for a shield swap and see who else is left behind. Complexity are going to be able to move forward and know that there's another squad already moving on to their way into the tunnel.
And that's why I'm not sure if it makes the most sense for C9 to be playing that aggressive, because they know that Complexity is nearby, and they know that Complexity likes to get involved in those fights. So a little high risk, high reward, but unfortunately the risk outweighs the reward here as Cloud9 takes out Knights. Cloud9 tries to take out Roll of Theory, and Complexity, well, they eat all of them. Pac-Man eats. It's Complexity and Monsoon.
Everybody eats that. And you know, it's crazy to also note here that the amount of action happening right here in this northern part of the map, survey where all the action has gone down. Meanwhile, we've been able to note these teams may not have that same intel. Maybe they haven't been able to hit a beacon just yet, but we know that it's going to be pulling towards Fragment. We know where it's kind of leaning towards, mostly towards Frag West. We're going to have to see for that next circle, but Complexity are walking away with a lot of KP. They feel comfortable with that, and maybe even get some crafting done if they have the time. Maybe some extra shield bats. We have to see. With Complexity right now, still holding the tunnel.
So on board of Complexity, now we're going to take a look at the map overhead, and it looks like that map will be pulling, again, we knew it, to Fragment. So all of this activity up north is just opportunity to pick up kill points. And I'm not exactly sure why we saw Knights work from Fragment West up to Survey Camp, or maybe they changed things up and they dropped Survey Camp. I'm not exactly sure what happened there, but the zone's obviously finishing in Fragment. Maybe they didn't get the beacon info that they wanted. Nonetheless, they got themselves taken out as a result. Senox taking out Demi of Moners, as we have Complexity still alive here.
And it's Team Liquid that's actually trying to meet them by the other side of that tunnel. They know Complexity saying, all right, well, you know what? We're outside of circle. We're just going to dip out of here in this situation. But look at this highlight. I love this replay. The scheming C9 moving in, completely catching one of the Knights off guard when they just wanted a loot fallout.
Yeah, busted on in like a SWAT team right there at Cloud9. That was awesome. So glad we got the replay. And they are able to just completely say, this is our house now. Nice job from Cloud9. Fun replay. They obviously ended up getting taken out, but we're actually live back with Complexity again as they're going to be making their way over to Epicenter. They're in circle right now, and this is where Complexity likes to just chill on top of this ridge in Epicenter. I think you'll see them position here for at least a little bit.
Yeah, and I like this decision too, because they noted that Team Liquid was off to the right, and instead of taking that fight so far outside of circle, they wanted to not only hold circle positioning, but they're also holding the high ground too. They could see all the action happening in front of them on top of Fragment.
Yeah, so they'll have good visibility onto Fragment. And they'll have good visibility behind them, as they got to be careful, and you can see their heads in a swivel. They know some teams are coming originally from Skyhook, so they have to be careful from behind as well. Complexity will likely stay put here for some time. I'd love to just do a quick scan around and see where are some other teams. Looks like Complexity might know something we don't. Might be a team behind them, or at least they think there might be, because we are jumping on board with Sentinels. Here we go. This is exactly what I want to see. Sentinels going to be having to rotate. They actually were fighting at Harvester. So they rotated from Lava Siphon to Harvester, picked up some kills along the way, and now they're going to have to rotate over to Fragment. Would love to jump into a listen with Sentinels if we can confirm it's ready. As interested to hear their thought process. Let's go ahead and do it. Let's jump into a listen with Sentinels.
You remember when we killed us last week?
Yeah, right.
Res all the way in zone. They're rezzing fucking Moner. They're rezzing.
Oh, we should just go that way then.
Dude, no, there's nobody in this choke and they don't fucking beam us.
How do you know they're rezzing?
I just saw the ship. 100% just saw the ship.
Okay. We should run that way then. We should sprint that way into zone and try and get those 3 kills.
We're not waiting on this cliff. I mean, they should just run into us.
You want a rat?
Kind of. I mean, where would they go for loot?
Hold up. Just over here. Don't peek. There's no one at our choke. We're good, friend.
I'm just gonna sit right here.
They might scan. If they do, we just ape them. I'm gonna peek. They're not coming this way.
Yeah, if they're not here, we can wrap and just fight them in the other field. We know they'll be in the field and they have nothing.
No, they'll just be up there with nothing. Yeah, exactly.
Can you come scan with me? Oh, we're going through zone.
We're going this way. No.
No, I'm just being an idiot.
You're good.
Do we know who got res there now?
No. I assume it's them. It could be a different team. I'm a little
either way. It's
just so we know who to focus. That's all. He's gonna have like white armor.
I killed Hound and Gibby died. Died.
Footsteps here. Running up the hill. 40 seconds ago.
They might just be
right. Right, start healing right now. I'm gonna walk in. Watch it. They might be riding. Can you track the footsteps?
Yeah, I'm trying.
Maybe under bridge. They went sliding on.
They went somewhere east.
Yeah, they go. I think they're just gonna hide under the bridge.
They moved in here too. Let's see. Yeah, they're going northeast.
Oh, is this them?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. That's a wraith. 100%. That's a wraith.
He doesn't even see us, bro. He has no clue. Yeah, you want to? 3, 2, 1, shoot. Nice, good job.
I'm ulting.
Go ahead, we gotta get in there. Can you pad in there, Adam?
In front of you. It's okay. Look at that, the kid right.
Yeah, he's running, he's just sprinting away.
I'm getting the full kill,
Colin, run with me.
It's the Gibby that got res, bro. He's white armor.
Good.
Nice, good job.
I'm thirsting. Look at me, I'm far here.
Yeah,
I'm basically with you.
Yeah, I'm coming back. It's just a
zone. Kill him, dead.
Nice, good shit. All right, back up. We gotta posture up for next zone.
What are we looking at? I have pad and do a gold helmet. Give me helmet.
We can just give, here. We can just get into one of the buildings, to be honest.
Yep. Well, just,
I need energy ammo really bad. If this guy has
go loot the wraith. He's the only one with loot.
Good shit, boys. Good shit.
I'm just grabbing right edge.
Let's walk along the bridge. We know there's no one on this side of the map.
I have no pad. Is there shotgun ammo? I only have 1 clip. Got some.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm good. I'm loaded. I'm fucking loaded.
The worst case scenario is we end up playing this because I know that's free.
This world spawn has looted, bro. There's nobody there. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. There's no one on this side of the map, bro.
Careful. What are we? Can we play this side of the tracks? Do you want to? So we're flexible. We can play both sides circle.
We have plenty of plays. Yeah, I want to play this side of the map, but we can play the. You see the fucking cart right here? We can play that too. We have plenty of plays, bro. We're straight.
I want to go loot this package.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. We're wrapping around right now.
How many mollies do we have? I have a rampage.
Mollies have 0.
I have 1. I can give you 1.
I'll give you an arc for it.
Make sure there's nobody on our left, but like down here.
We're straight, bro. We can even play here. Yeah, we're good. We have time to build up our ults and shit.
Yep. Can you get right above me? I want to go for this package.
It's like right under us.
Oh yeah, I know. Just this kid's being a freak. Make sure there's nobody behind us. Actually, let's clear our back first. Low-key.
Yeah, you're right.
Stay over there, Cuz. Just in case they like fucking rap on us and some dumb shit.
You want to grab this shit real quick?
Yeah, I'll go for it. Just get it.
I'll get ready to bump you if I need.
Purple armor.
Interesting extended list in there with Sentinels. You see here a variety of things. One, it's hunting season, apparently. You know, we're in the middle of fall here, October, heading in November, and clearly we see Sentinels absolutely just hunting down Moners and taking advantage. Meanwhile, Complexity is farming right now on the north side of the map.
They've been still holding this spot. They were on the high ground originally. They dropped down. Look at this chaos. The bombardment has now come down. Now Complexity is getting dove on right now. They have the safety of the dome, but now they're just trying to get into an off angle. We noted before, Reptar is going to be able to be saved, and it's TSM, the aggressors right now, holding the other side of the wall.
Yep, 5 hostiles detected for snipe downs. That's going to be a good sign to back up, slow things down a little bit. TSM, no kills this game. Much different style of play, which we're used to seeing from TSM from way back in the day. It's rotating and chilling and securing late game KP and late game placement. TSM looking to do exactly that, trying to get that Bloodhound ultimate back as soon as possible, as it's going to be sniped down. Opportunity to melt, only going to cut for 29.
Beginning and part of that mag looked like it was a no-reg at first. Complexity now are still going to be able to utilize this natural line of sight cover just over to the side. They don't want to overextend. They know that TSM is still there, but Team Liquid, they're right behind TSM, essentially sandwiching them in this situation. And they do see that there is another squad right below them off to the left. It's important to note, they're still rocking this composition that I am a huge fan of. You got knocked on the Octane, you got Flanker on Caustic, and then, of course, Fusey making his return.
Yeah, you know, one of the most unique compositions, a Gibraltar-less comp, one of the only Gibraltar-less comps that we've seen. Team Liquid's always really questioning the meta. Big shout out to Hodsik and this entire team, always thinking outside the box in terms of team comps. We'll see if it works out for them, though. Meanwhile, back to Old Trusty for Sign Us Please and for others. Cloud9 as well, Octane, Bloodhound, and very, very aggressive Gibraltar, as we have Team Liquid here getting in the mix.
Oh, if Flanker's gonna be able to close in that gap, doesn't want to overextend. Of course, he is Caustic, so the other opposing Caustic gas won't affect him like that. But I like how he's trying to close in the space with his own barrel, even shooting it to apply some pressure. I like this approach from Team Liquid, and they're not trying to overextend, so that way they're not prone to getting third party from behind.
Yeah, some aggressive and offensive Caustic play. Take some notes here. As you see Team Liquid, oh my gosh, great jump pad to get above on high ground. Down there, have high ground on them, but they were hoping that they'd actually run into that team. Not able to do so, and now they're in a situation where they're stacked right above their opponents, but they're going to be happy here. This is a good spot. They're in circle. You can expect them to slow things down and just kind of post up for now.
These Caustic barrels not being friendly barrels here, but it doesn't matter. Nobody else taking space in this building as Liquid move into this building. And do note that there's somebody getting hit by the lava. Wait a minute, what is going on here? Okay, this is troublesome. What a terrible situation to be in. You're right underneath Complexity and you're stuck in the lava?
Yeah, good luck. Absolute monarchy, more like absolute madness, absolute shenanigans. Whatever we're seeing on screen here is they're somehow still alive, though. Sentinel's going to get taken out by Luxford and Cruz. That's pretty big. Team Liquid damaged. Fun has to try and stay alive. He's going to be so hurt. And barely is going to be able to pop a med kit off. We'll see if they can survive for now. Meanwhile, the kill feed gets lit up. Sign Us Please continues to pop off. And it looks like Imperial Hal able to get that kill on Nocturnal. So it's TSM that's putting all the pressure on their opponents right now. Great work from TSM.
Wow, these sneaky and cheeky angles that we saw Hal take on that window, you love to see it. You put in the aggressive, you know that the circles are behind them. Their backs are essentially up against the wall. And you know who's also been popping up, keeping up this momentum is Complexity. Getting a down already, wasting no time cleaning up this lobby. They're off to the side, and they've been taking fights after fight.
Yeah, off to the side. They're off to the races all game long. They have been just dominating this lobby. High kills, very aggressive, and they're honestly just farming. Free play, free KP for them is what it seems like. As we got Complexity, TSM, Charlotte, Phoenix, Sinus, Please, W, a lot of the same teams that we've seen make it to these late games, they're making it again here. Complexity has a chance alongside Sinus, Please, to skyrocket in these standings. TSM's trying to make something out of nothing.
And they were able to secure that KP. Now they're trying to get it again, but Reps has gone down here. It's up to Snackdown. He gets the down, and Hal's in trouble too. They do find 2, but Snackdown doesn't get away in time. It's a third party moving in. It's Charlotte Phoenix now moving in, now cleaning up shop. They do get the knock, and they clean up perfectly. Perfect right there. I love the way that they timed that because they were able to go in for the third party without having to overcommit themselves, especially when there's 6 other squads left.
That's what's so dangerous this late, right? And playing that aggressive, these late rings, you try to take fights, you're going to get third party almost guaranteed. And the third party came through right there. TSM was the unfortunate benefactor of that. As now, we have Complexity still alive. Charlotte Phoenix right across the way, across the street. It's a battle for turf here in Fragment West as we got 2 teams over here fighting a 3v3, almost like a game of arenas. And we got 4 teams elsewhere.
And Complexity has moved off to the side, and now you have Charlotte Phoenix stuck outside in the middle of this open ground. They're trying to utilize the fence off to their left, but they see that there's 3 other squads making their way over to their north. They're going to be able to note that as Complexity is going to have no issue trying to sandwich Charlotte Phoenix.
And Charlotte Phoenix doesn't have a bubble. They had to use it to avoid the fight from Complexity, so they're just trying to wait as much time as possible to get cooldowns back. And here comes the Valkyrie. Q's going to come through. CLX all up to Luxford. He's going to get taken out. 5 squads remain here. It all comes down to this final ring as it's collapsing. 50 seconds left in this game.
Look at this oxygen trouble too. They see there's a mobile respawn beacon being called in right here, but the building is going to go in favor of W, the squad who just won game number 3, still popping off.
Yeah, that's right. W has been looking very, very solid so far in week 3. They got a team below them. They got a team on the other side. So they are currently sandwiched in between 2 teams, but they have the high ground. They had what arguably would be God spot in this late game. Complexity, not too bad of a position either. It's really just going to come down to who can frag out, who can outplay with these 4 squads remaining.
Monsoon actually was trying to bait right there. He had his shield crack. He backs off. He throws out the knock gas so that way they can't push in here. I love the suppressed fire from Ice Shining, putting in a lot of that pressure, but notice how they're not giving up this spot. They know that if they move in right here, Fallout, that they'll be exposing themselves to the squads off to their left.
Defensive bombardment down. I think they had the intel that the bubble was popped. No, the dome shield's going to come, but only a second too late. As they take damage, they'll be able to heal back up. So that's a wasted and a gone ultimate for Shiny. He decides to let her rip on Charlotte Phoenix, even though they had their bubble and their dome shield back. So nothing done yet. No squads eliminated as we still have all 4 teams remaining. Charlotte Phoenix making the push up. Here comes the push up to high ground. As we see Complexity's eyes shiny, wanting to get into the madness here. They're going to push up. Complexity is looking to finish out this lobby. Him and Monsoon both pushing wide left. You see them pushing up as aggressively as possible. Meanwhile, Scissors, W on top. It's going to be Charlotte Phoenix trying to grief them, pushing with ultimate aggression. One team is just below. It's going to be Bursty and Co. just hiding and surviving and letting every other team in this lobby fight right now. Meanwhile, Complexity has to back out. They have to retreat just a little bit to get their health back, and they're meanwhile taking out Scissors. Great job right there from Reptar, putting in absolute work and damage.
Complexity just trying to pull in right here. Those bubble too in this close range fight. This is so intense in this situation. What can you even do right here? Complexity always on top of the word rotations, and they're still claiming names. Look at the way they're playing this dome. Just one after the other and finishing things off with the melee, with the heirloom. You love to see a Complexity. What a beautiful game that was from start to finish.
Yeah, gosh, a near perfect game. I can't wait to see the stat line in this one, Vicky. Oh my goodness, Complexity, do they show up big? Monsoon's been talking on Twitter for good reason. He's backing it up today, and he's shown up big time. This Complexity roster is looking great.
And I tuned in at the perfect time right there, Follow. My feed had died right before the end. Meanwhile, when it came back, it was just Complexity all night long. Looking at the way they just performed that execution at the very end, waited for the perfect positioning, prevented themselves from getting sandwiched. That's why they were holding the high ground and ending the game with 13 kills. What a way to build up that gap within this lobby.
Yeah, that's insane. Complexity going massive, going bonkers. They were in 4th place with 29 points. Guess what? They just nearly doubled their points. Complexity will be sitting on top with 54. Sinus Please only gets 6. TSM a bleak 5 points. So in the end, it's going to be complexity skyrocketing. Charlotte Phoenix, in the grand scheme of things, needed a game like that. They were in 19th place with 3 points. So that 14 points is going to help them. But really, the story here is all complexity all day. And I shot to buff Pathfinder as well, doing some work.
Yeah, I have to highlight complexity. This is their second win of the day. The only squad that has been able to pull out 2 wins so far. We got 2 more games left, but with the way that they've been performing, they're going to keep up this momentum, Vala. We're going to expect them to do as aggressive, if not perform just the same, going through to see how they're going to do. And Monsoon, 5 kills. You have the 1,200 damage, but overall, looking at this squad, they all did basically the even amount of damage. You got Reptar with 1,700. You got iShiny with 1,400. This squad really working together in unison. You can see the synergy shining.
That's right, Reptar, the former Bloodhound monster, switching over to Valkyrie and putting in just as much work. 1,700 damage for Reptar. Shiny doing work on Gibraltar. 4 kills, 16 or 1,400 damage for iShiny. Monsoon, obviously doing Monsoon things on Caustic as well. I mean, across the board, complexity looked great. And as a result, well, they're going to shoot up 3 points or 3 placements. They're going to be in first place overall. Brian Urlacher, 54 points for them over Sinus Please in second. Sentinels tied with 43, but due to Sinus Please having a win under the belt, they'll win the tiebreaker.
And despite Sinus Please being below Complexity by just 11 points, you have to note here that Complexity still has won 2 games, and despite that, Sinus Please and Sentinels are tied for second place right behind them. So highlighting the competition, it's still got 2 more games. Anything could happen at this point.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Torrent in 10th place with 21 points could have a 25 to 30 point game and be in the top 3. It's just crazy to think that game 5, game 6, and we're going all the way down to top 12 with the potential to still get top 3 in this one. So a crazy, crazy showing so far for Complexity, obviously going big in games 1 and games 4. You like what you're seeing from the COL boys down in Dallas. You know that they're happy right now. Shout out to my man Ashes and everyone else in the Complexity organization. But we still got game 5. We still got game number 6, and I am so excited for those. To call the action, we, of course, are going to have Onset and Gaskin calling game 5 after this.
Well, the games have been fast and furious today in the Pro League here in North America. The Apex Legends Global Series never disappoints, and the pace has been up there, Dan. Some of the fastest gameplay that we've seen, some crazy fights going on, almost as crazy as, I don't even know what to call you at this point. It's create a character gone wrong. Random button hit numerous times. It's, you look a mess, to be honest with you.
I'm about as messy as the lobbies are right now, because there has been some strange things happening, stranger than this, whatever this has become, but this is just the madness that has ensued. And we're going into a game 5 where there's a lot on the line here. There is potential for a couple of teams to really separate themselves from the rest of the pack going into game number 6, but there's also the potential that some of the big hitters won't even be in the top 10 when we go into game number 6. When you look at Cloud9, look at TSM, Team Liquid, all down there, they just haven't been able to get going, but all it takes is one big game to propel you up those leaderboards. But I mean, let's talk about the likes of W, Sign Us Please, who are really up there messing with the biggest of boys right now. And it's Complexity who are first, but it could change with 2 games still to go.
It certainly could, but that name, Complexity, I mean, that is a name that has rung true for so long in the ALGS, but recently been a little bit quiet. Well, today, they are certainly back. That's 2 wins out of 4 games for the Complexity boys so far. And even though I'm terrible at maths, Dan, I can tell you that that is 50% of the games they have won. And not only that, they picked up KP along the way. Everyone's been hitting shots. Everyone's been playing around each other. The chemistry seems to be back in this Complexity lineup.
Yeah, it's really nice to see when a team does just start to gel once again. When, you know, there was the whole consideration of, are they going to be that kind of God squad that we know they can be? Are they going to drop off here or there because they weren't competing in scrims for a while and all of that jazz? But they're here. They're here to stay now. They seem to be backing up the statements they're putting up online as well. And not just the positioning, but also their communication seems to be on point. The team fights are clean. They're cleaning up their team fights quick enough as well. I think that's what's important. You have to finish things off before other teams can join and take advantage of you being quite weak.
Well, game 5 is live. We're about to jump out of the dropship now. And it will be myself on set alongside the Guns N' Roses and Slipknot combo we never knew we needed in Dan Gaskin. And this is a massive game, Dan. A really important game for those teams outside of that top 10 at the moment. One of those teams, of course, TSM. Another is Cloud9, who just aren't having their way with things at the moment. And to be honest with you, I feel like Cloud9 may be taking a few too many fights in the early game at the moment. It seems like they're kind of ego in the lobby a little bit. They think they can have their way with these fights. They've been third-partied numerous times already. I think they just need to slow things down a little bit. Complexity, on the other hand, get the accelerator pushed.
Yeah, it was something that was kind of happening to Sentinels in week 2, where after week 1, Sentinels were able to just kind of run around the edge and get kill upon kill upon kill, not worried about them. Oh, it's a northern zone. There's another one. We're okay.
What?
What is that? Forget everything I've just said.
What is that zone?
Where are we? What day is it?
I feel ill.
Who am I? I don't even know who I am anymore. But back to my previous point. Something the Sentinels really struggled with in week 2 was that they were kind of getting third-partied every time they took a fight on the edge. Whereas here, it seems to be happening for Cloud9 as well. There's a lot of teams that are transitioning to the central zones and looking to get into kind of buildings and whatnot. But then you've got the few teams who are marauding on the edges, and they're all kind of listening, waiting for those gunshots, and they're looking for fights. And if you don't clean up the fight fast enough, you are going to get third parties. And Cloud9 just haven't seemed to have been outputting the same amount of damage that we've seen, which just means that those fights are elongated, and you are very vulnerable to third parties.
Oh, thank God you were talking. I'm still hyperventilating. We have a north zone, everybody. We are going to the other half of World's Edge. It is a wonderful day to be an Apex Legends fan. And as my breath starts to come back now, we can focus on the game that we do have in front of us. But I agree with you. I think the fights, it's all about speed, right? It's all about being clinical in those moments. And I don't think the Cloud9 have quite had their way. At the moment, however, 2 games to go. We know how they can pop off, and we know how they can right the wrongs very, very quickly. But the lobbies in general have been a little bit messy, Dan. It's been pretty rare. We've got to sort of zone 5, and we've had more than 13, 14 teams alive. And I just wonder if that's just because there's a couple of teams who are playing Edge and they're running into each other a little bit quicker than maybe they would expect. And it's been trades along the board with those fights where not one team's getting the better of the other, so nobody wants to change their rotation or whatever the decision making might be. But Silas Please is fighting today has been almost exemplary.
are very impressed with Sinus, please. The way they've been holding certain chokes, the speed of which they've been winning those fights as well to make sure they're not too vulnerable to third parties has been particularly enjoyable to watch. But I agree with you. It has been pretty messy. There has been some teams that have maybe been overly aggressive at times, but TSM in a fight here already in the early stages.
They certainly are, and it's around that beacon building, the broken building, whatever you want to call it. The beacon is there, so TSM will have zone info, and you can see that, but this team down on the low ground, I wonder who that is. And the difficulty is, like you mentioned, the longer these shots go out, the longer this fight goes on, is it going to be a third party thinking about moving around the corner? TSM seem like they've got the damage, but the bubble's gone down, and now Hao has to be extremely careful because here is the third party. TSM have to be on their toes here, otherwise they're going to be the meat in the sandwich.
I think it might have been Torrent on the other side, or it could have been anyway if my kind of memory is correct. But yet there's another team that's also getting involved now after they heard the commotion here, and a lot of teams are going to be naturally transitioning through this area of the map, through Fragment, to get to the north side. And yeah, it's not something we're used to because we've had so many southern zones, but you've got to remember how to play these zones and remember who's going to be coming from where. It's Buff Pathfinder that are on the other side, which could potentially third party, but that, just their sheer presence and just by them making noise, probably will stop the fight between TSM and Torrent. Elsewhere, CLX are also in a fight right now.
Sentinels are going to win that fight, and they're going to win it as quickly and as cleanly as you could possibly imagine. Nobody goes down. Only one player had their armor broken, so that is pretty devastating, to be honest with you. Back to TSM now, because this is really worrying moments for them. It's very nervy moments, because having these teams either side who nobody looks like they want to give up position as well means that TSM can't move. TSM cannot make a rotation here, as Torrent are just holding them in, and the longer this fight goes on, like I mentioned, the more antsy people are going to get, more shots are going to be exchanged, and as soon as you hear one shield get broken, that might be the indicator to just put that foot on the gas and move forward and try and convert.
You know where you are? You're in the jungle, baby, and you're gonna die if you're here in Fragment, because there are just teams everywhere right now. You've got to be very careful with your positioning. You've got to ensure you're watching every single angle, because otherwise you could be part of not just a third party, but a fourth party as well. If you start an engagement, you better be aware that other teams are going to be joining this.
Try not to repeat the rest of Guns N' Roses now, as that is now officially in my head. But for Buff Pathfinder, their situation is pretty clear. They're just waiting to see this fight develop. They are playing spectator and waiting to see that drop of blood fall into the ocean before they can snap in and be the piranhas in this fight. Looks like they might have decided to actually try and rotate past it. However, with these shots still being exchanged between the two teams, and it's pretty unlikely they're going to be leaving too soon. The second bubble will go down. This is the second attempt that TSM have made of trying to make some sort of push and trying to make some sort of progression. But again, there's going to be a little peek through this window. As Buff Pathfinder, rightly so, by the way, they're going to now retaliate and retract, but nice shots coming in. But this is the difficulty here for TSM. It's not just a case of, yeah, good job, you got the knock. They haven't secured the kill. They can't be over-aggressive on it because of the fact that still have Torrent in the other building.
Yeah, this is really frustrating for all teams involved, but particularly for TSM because they were stuck between the two. As soon as they make a push towards one, the other one just has a little peek through the window, like a creepy Halloween trick-or-treater who just won't go away after they've knocked profusely for 3 hours. It's not happened to me, I promise. I'm not annoyed. But Torrent, they're just there. They're waiting.
I think
it might be a true story. I may have ignored many a children tonight whilst being part of this broadcast. I'm sorry. I did put a bucket of sweets out there. There just wasn't enough to go around.
Well, they should be watching this, to be honest with you. Here comes the kidnap attack now from Imperial. How did he manage to pick someone up? It looks like he did. And it will be RKN who falls into the trap. They finish off the kill. Great job on the Wraith, and that's good to see Hal back on Wraith. That's what he can do, and that's what you need to do, Dan. You can't just be passive on Wraith. You have to make plays as your Reese now comes through, and it looks like this might be the end of Torrent. Oh, my word. TSM, they stake it out, and that portal, the kidnap from Hal, is one of the highlight plays so far.
Those are some feel-good kills for TSM. They are going to be particularly enjoying those ones because Torrent have been holding them. They've been annoying. They've been a thorn in their side for the entirety of this game so far. To finally deplete them, they can now get on with their lives. They can move on. They can rotate and think about the rest of this game. And maybe actually they'll think now, you know what? Screw Buff Pathfinder. Maybe let's push them as well because they've also been particularly annoying to us.
I mean, the problem is, look who's on the other side of the bridge now. With all this fighting that's been going down, TSM still don't really have many options. If they try and ape the team, or fight the team that's inside a train station. Knights might fancy a bit of that. So it's kind of a similar situation now. If I'm TSM, I'm trying to get control of Broken Building now. I'm trying to hit that next beacon and find a way to rotate and get that information. Hope that these other teams leave before, and then maybe try and play edge. But it's a really tough situation as we have a look back on that kidnap. A massive play coming in from Imperial Hal.
Yeah, that's going to be a difficult pill to swallow for Torrent, because they would have been, you know, pretty happy with where they were, confident they were holding out TSM, confident that they could be the first team to push over the bridge once the circle started to come in. But maybe they just waited a little bit too long and they gave TSM the chance to make a play like that. Elsewhere, Sentinels are having to move through the zone here to try and avoid what would seem a few bullets coming from several directions. On top of the bridge, I think, is where they're being griefed from. Yes, it is. And they'll probably back off from this one. But there could be a team waiting around the other corner as well. So this could be a difficult time for Sentinels.
Well, let's see how they navigate their way through this. Let's jump into a listen in with Sentinels.
Oh, no. Yeah. Don't worry. Yeah, that pad was like awkward as fuck to throw. Because if I would have thrown it, it would have landed on your bubble. So I
honestly, it's not a big deal. It's fine. Let me get some bats, like 1 or 2.
I can craft 2.
I'm going to grab this shit up here so I can make 2 more
stay here and
bats.
craft. We kind of have to get moving. We have a minute.
No, we have to go. We don't have time to work this anymore. We have to go soon.
Do you want to go? We go right and just not fight on edge?
Yeah, no, we can't. We wasted a lot of time with that. Like we have to work.
We have to work right. If we come left, we're gonna be stuck in that field.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I need to make it.
I'm dropping. I have 2. Dropping 1. Dropping 2.
Let's go into the line side choke.
Yeah, I'm going this way.
We go into the land side choke, and then we figure out if we think we can make that cross out the field. If we can't, we go through tunnel and we go into frag west. But I don't want to be in frag west. Or we could just walk along this side, and that might be better than.
It just depends who's.
I think we do that. Yeah, I think we do that.
Scan the top of this tunnel.
Yeah.
I feel like they could be.
Yeah, I'll scan. Yeah.
A lot of nades right here.
I'm gonna grab some. We're gonna go through the land side tunnel and walk frag west.
They're here. They scan. We need to go around. No, they're just gonna gatekeep us.
No. Talk up. I mean, we can fight him here, bro.
Scan an 18.
This is an advantage. Like, this fight is our advantage.
Arc, he's out. He's an arc. Be careful. Where are you? You're around.
And they.
Roll yourself back if you have to.
Yeah, I do.
We have to go around. They're just gonna get us.
Yeah, we do. I'm going back.
I have.
They might ape. Be ready for them to ape. I gotta heal.
This round. No, we're good. Just go. We have to go quick. This is so annoying, bro.
We have enough white meds for this, right?
I have 2 medkits, 4 syringes.
I have 1 medkit, 4 syringes. I'm chilling.
So.
I don't know what these.
They're just playing ranked, bro. We know they do this. That's why we should just avoid them, okay? They're literally G2 in our lobby. They're letting in their POI doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
They might try to cut us off again because they know.
Yeah, I wouldn't fucking doubt it. Do we just go for here because he's a crafter?
That's what I wanted to do.
This is gonna be so AIDS having to go through frag in the circle.
Currently in the same residence in Fragment, and they are still having to look over towards Pathfinder, but they know full well there is not just one team they have to contest with here. There are several others, as the zone has gone slightly further north. Lo and behold, it's something that maybe we weren't expecting, towards Survey on the edge of Skyhook, and also the kind of truck buildings that are just south of that as well, or the camper vans, whatever you want to call them, train carts, I don't know. There's things that are there you can hide in. That's all that matters.
If you're in the UK, we call those carriages, Dan.
That's the one.
And that's something that's a term I've never actually used for those, and I'm going to bring over now, bring a little bit of European flavour into the North American broadcast. But TSM, they're going to be playing hard edge, and it was all because of that fight that took so long to come to a resolution. But they might have a chance to pick up some KP on the edge of zone here, as this team is going to be working their way in. As it is zone 3, that's going to really start chipping away at the HP. So if they can get a couple of shield cracks here, and it might be an opportunity to do something pretty good. Let's talk about good positioning, though. Look at Cloud9 holding down this tunnel, a couple of caustic barrels down there, which will give them the alert if a team does try and rotate in behind them. They're in a pretty good spot. So assign us, please, inside of the beacon building.
Inside the beacon building, which probably doesn't have a beacon.
Not today.
So at the moment, we are going to be seeing Sinus, please, just being patient, gatekeeping, and doing some damage from the windows here. I guess it's not necessarily gatekeeping. They'll just be kind of outputting some damage and keeping their position as they can wait until that next zone and see where it goes. But yeah, the C9 positioning was really good, holding that tunnel. They could maybe even ambush a team if they were to push round, but you'd imagine they will coincide and they'll go, one team will be inside the train track, they'll be around by the respawn side of the upper train track.
That zone pool, man.
That is another zone pool that is unexpected and also leaves so little area to play for these teams.
I mean, unexpected and unpredictable. But when I say unpredictable, what I mean by that is you cannot predict that. That's pulled hard south again. And we're going to be finishing out in the open. A little bit of survey camp still involved building-wise, but it is going to be a tough ask for all of these teams to find somewhere to play. And with so many teams not anywhere near the zone at the moment, it might actually be better to be playing edge here, Dan, because you can walk up behind these teams who aren't going to have a huge amount of cover and maybe shoot them in the back.
Yeah, you've got like, what, 2 buildings in survey that are going to be playable. The train track should be okay as well, and maybe a portion of the rock next to train tracks if you're lucky. Sentinels down to just 2 after this long old rotation. They've walked into a lot of commotion, and they've lost Lou because of it. The rest of the squad, they're going to have to move out. They're going to have to just retreat away from this one and reassess how they want to approach the rest of this game.
Yeah, this is rough. I mean, the one player I think you don't want to lose on rotation when you've got a zone like it is the Gibraltar player. It doesn't mean you have that bubble. You don't have the ability to zone out teams. And for Xenox and Crust, things just became a lot tougher in this game number 5. 17 squads still remaining. We've got 49 players alive. They do have some KP to play with, so they can just kind of work their way into some sort of position. Speaking of working into a position, this is a tough move now for TSM, because you can see they're being held out by multiple teams, and they've got to move uphill, and uphill is one of the most difficult things to do across open ground.
TSM, who really have to get a big game here. They need a mammoth game to put themselves within contention of being able to finish, I don't know, even just top 5, let alone even think about winning. I don't even think winning is on the cards in this week. Complexity, speaking of the winners, they are top of the leaderboards on 54 points at the moment, and they can really hold out TSM.
Oh, this is going to be really tough. TSM make their move. The bubble goes down as well, but Complexity were waiting around that corner as Hal is trying to wait out this defensive bombardment. The zone's coming in, which is going to chip away at the health, and look how quickly it's just burning away at this point. Complexity were up on the high ground, shooting down onto TSM. Reps has barely got any HP to work with, as Sentinels pick up some kills as well. Stenox now kill leader in the lobby. Oh, Snipe Down has found himself with a Prowler and doing damage, but Hal's down, Reps is down as well, and Snipe Down is left on his own.
Well, Complexity, I think, were wiped there, or at least lost 2, and Snipe Down, can he survive the gas? 1.1 second, just about gets away with it. TSM survived for now, and it's about just retreating. It's about surviving. There's the last remaining players of Complexity. They weren't wiped. They're still up. Monsoon is still full, and we just saw kind of 6 squads completely obliterated off of World's Edge.
Absolute Monarchy inside of this bubble, looking to finish off a bubble fight, and they're going to take out Knights and secure that KP as well. Xenox and Crust, a desperation play for them, but it looks like they've survived for now. Another desperate Phoenix kit going to be popped as Crust is trying to do the same. A little bit of damage just being taken, as now comes the rotation with the Valkyrie Skyward dive from Cloud9. They look like they might be able to play the outside of that building. Sinus, please. They're going to be playing in the respawn lobby, back into the lobby, I should say. A Sentinel somehow still surviving all of this.
Sentinels have got 2 players. Complexity have got 2 players. Sinus, please, have been eliminated. That's all of our top 3 teams are weak at the moment. So that's great news for the rest of the lobby. You've just got to survive here if you're Sentinels and Complexity. You need to get as much placement on the board to try and give yourself a real chance in Game 6 to win Group A versus C. And somehow, someway, TSM are still alive and kicking, and we're getting a res through from Snipe Down.
I don't know how Hal wasn't finished. I don't know where he found to play to stay alive, but he has stayed alive. Reptar, the same thing cannot be said for him, as Complexity find themselves down to 2 now. Monsoon moving up, hammer in hand as well, looking to lay down the hammer of Thor onto some of these teams that are moving across this open ground. But for now, like I mentioned, Complexity down to 2, TSM down to 2, and Sentinels as well, playing as a duo.
Yeah, we've got a lot of duos here, which is great news for a team like W if they're still kicking around. Team Liquid are still getting the frags, and there is Sentinels finally being wiped. So our second place, third place team, both very weak. TSM also getting involved.
Wow, TSM take out Complexity. The 2v2 was won convincingly by TSM as Hal and Snipe Down work together towards this end zone. They find another duo as somehow Snipe Down locks on with the Prowler and shoots the
a player through the air. Like shooting clay pigeons, this for Snipe Down, one of the best aims in the game.
They need around 10 points if they're going to push their way into the top 10 to give themselves a chance of picking up some points here in this week. But W are the real winners of this lobby right now. They were in 4th place. They're 14 points behind first. They're only 3 points behind second and third. And we've already seen first and third and second place all wiped. So W can really catch up here going into game number 6.
Well, Astro Esports is trying to finish off these knocks to secure the KP. You can see that Enemigo doesn't have any to his name at the moment, but now he does. This damage with the longbow is really doing damage, but however, a Skynade is going to exchange some damage back. Sleepy Panda was the player who was eliminated. 8 squads still remaining here, but on the quicker side of zone, Astro Esports have got some plays to make now.
Yeah, there's still one building that is just about in that circle as well. If there's a team in residence there, they're just going to be kind of laughing at the rest of the lobby. There's the respawn beacon, but unfortunately not going to be the respawn available. And TSM, even as a 2, are still pushing in. They're still being a thorn in so many sides right now. Snipe Down and Hell are popping off right now.
They are together, which is something that everybody wants to see. They don't have the banner, though, of rep, so it will be just how and Snipe Down working together. C9, they've got a very nice position to play as well, right at the northern side in that truck and around that building. Team Liquid up on the high ground as well. L-Star, hands of Nocturnal, trying to do some damage and force this team out from the low ground. Takes down one, takes down the shields of another as well, as Team Liquid and Nocturnal are kings of the mountain.
L-Star is just so obnoxious, man. I can't wait for the nerf. I'm going to be completely honest with you. It absolutely shreds 2 players just like that. But Team Liquid also on the back foot ever so slightly. They're being griefed from several different angles right now. They have to be communicating and they have to ensure they all play together as that zone is coming in. And Snipe Down and TSM still doing dirty stuff.
Liquid meet TSM. Reps, he's just watching, but I'm sure he's given all sorts of comms to the 2 boys who are still putting in a huge performance. Imperial How finds himself with 6 kills to his name. He's the kill leader in the lobby, and all of this for the last couple of minutes or so as just a duo, Dan.
This just looks like a pub game for TSM right now. They're running rampant as a 2, but this is the game they desperately needed. But it's W. As I said, the real winners right now, they're 4th place. Top 3 have all been wiped. They can really pick up some points here. Not only have they got positioning, but they've also picked up a few kills who are there. They're into the top 4, but TSM, top 4 placement already guaranteed. 8 or 9 are KP as well. That is a game they needed to at least give themselves a chance for a, maybe top 5 finish if they play things correctly when it comes to the overall standings, but there's still 1 game left.
Senior Service trying to hold them out up on this high ground, though. It might be a portal play coming in from Howell, or maybe it's going to be a desperate move across. We'll have to see how they play. However, Cloud9, oh, they're in the clouds right now, and it's not the clouds they want to be smelling. It's that naughty Nox gas, and that will be Zach Mazer who goes down. Davis Wave has also taken down How in that kill feed, so TSM now down to 1. Snipe Down still surviving, still praying to the heavens that he can make it towards this end game. But if he can just hold on for a few seconds here, those 2 teams in the building, the damage might be done where he can survive. However, he's just going to tank a little bit of this Nox gas, pop that med kit to stay alive again, and not for the first time here. It's going to be perfect timing on this med kit coming in from Snow. Oh, it's not! He left it a few seconds too late. Snipe Down's going to want that one back. W now, all the action kicking off inside this building.
Snipe Down just second guessing himself there. He had already popped it, but he tried to time it better. Cloud9, they want to take down W here. They've got 1 knock and they want more, but maybe W can hold, which they will. Cloud9 get obliterated, and now W, the last remaining team against Senior Service, but Senior Service have everything here on set.
They have everything. If they throw this one away, they won't ever want to watch this game again. They move in. The beams come in, but no! Oh, it's a throw from Davis. All they had to do was wait for them to escape from that door. However, now it's going to be evened up on Noko. Noko manages to close out the game. I got a little bit worried there, Dan, for them. I got a little bit shaky. But Noko showing those senior, should I say, experience moments, holding on, hitting those Eva shots, and it will be Senior Service who gets the win.
I actually really like the push. I know it looked like a throw initially, but just ensuring that you do the damage before they can heal up, because you know they've got to push out. And, well, yeah, quite rightly worried, because it could have gone south, because if all 3 of them had hit their shots as they come out, that could have very easily gone wrong. But It was a risk, but I like it. You do the damage, you force them out, you make sure they can't heal to a point where they're going to be able to take the fight. Senior Service, 18.6 kills. W, I still think the real winners in this lobby because the 3 teams that were above them in the overall standings were all wiped a little bit earlier. But what a performance from TSM. Answering the critics, a 9-kill game, finishing in 4th as well, 14 points. Okay, they went out with a little bit of... It wasn't a bang, it kind of fizzled out with how Snipedown died, but I don't think that will deter any of us from saying that they had a game that they so desperately needed.
100%. It needed to happen. That kind of magic needed to happen for TSM, and even though it's just a 4th place, it is one hell of a 4th place with the 9 kills to go along the way. For Senior Service, a really good performance from them. I know they've been desperate to get that kind of win on the board, and we'll look at the stats that came in from Nakoko Puffs, Voltic, and Davis Wave, and it was those 3 kills at the end. Either 8 shots connecting, and I think you're right, Dan. The damage that was done by Davis as he walked into that building gave them the opportunity just to secure the win.
Yeah, they'll be delighted with that one, and it could have very easily gone wrong if the fight had gone on a little bit longer, or if maybe they were able to get, you know, just an extra bit of damage. And also, if we had seen the previous fight when they could have third-partied it, if they had got too desperate for those kills and pushed in whilst Cloud9 were having that battle with W, again, that could have gone wrong. But they showed the right amount of patience, the right amount of trigger discipline, and of course, they got the damage in when they needed it. Ultimately, they get the W against W, and they do the job.
Well, let's bring Kate back into the conversation, because with 5 games to go, there's a lot to talk about, Kate. That was a very, very interesting game number 5.
Oh, yes, it was. The highlight reel just writes itself, but let's step back for a moment and remember what started the highlight. Northern Zone Pull! Very exciting moment, of course,
I was having heart
for all of us.
palpitations, Kate. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was laying back on my chair. I was struggling for breath. I didn't know what was happening.
I get it. I totally get it. Well,
It's
still
pulled slightly south, I will say, from where it originally was. I will say that. So,
I mean, that's fair. That's fair, but still way north of the southern poles that we've been seeing all day long, not just here for North America, but EMEA. I want to talk real quick. How much of an impact do you think that zone poll had on not just the momentum of some of these teams, but the mentality?
I don't know. It was just as I say, I can't even speak. It took me by surprise so much. I was like, Northern Zone? You think I was joking about struggling to breathe? It was a shock, but I mean, for the likes of Cloud9, who lands to the northern side over by Climatizer, it's a great zone, right? They don't have to play edge. They can play a little bit more in towards zone, and that really helped them out. But it was such an interesting game because there were so many different moments and stories kind of weaving in and out, and one of them was Sentinels. Had a really strong start to the game, then they had a really tough rotation to make. They lost Lou on that rotation, but then they managed to pick up some big kills and survive towards the end game as a duo. TSM, the story in that game as well. Let's take ourselves back. How with a massive play with that kidnap onto one of the Torrent players to get them out of what was the stickiest of situations inside of Fragment East. Survive. One of them goes down again. The Gibby on the rotation. The last player you want to be going down falls, and then Hal and Snipedown just make some magic work to get them through to that end game. And at the end, it was just carnage. To be honest with you, there was going to be teams that fall left, right, and center just because of the fact that there was so little cover, and that's exactly what we saw.
It is indeed, Gaskin. Most stories have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Talk to me a little bit about this one from Game 5 with TSM eventually going duo here, we can see.
Yeah, it was an interesting game for TSM because there was that kind of congestion that happened in Fragment because there was 3 teams just all not pushing one another. Eventually they got the kills. Then TSM, they got almost wiped, but Snipedown being the hero, staying alive, escaping, then getting Hal back up. But then it was Snipedown going out just in such an awkward and annoying, frustrating way. He got gassed by the ultimate from Caustic, thought he timed the medkit correctly, and he falls just with a few milliseconds left before he was going to pop that one off. But as I said, I don't want to take away from what was an extremely impressive and important performance from TSM, because without that, there would be even more questions asked. But at least now they will push themselves quite a way up the leaderboard from where they were.
Hey, speaking of leaderboards, let's take a look at this one and see how exactly that TSM play, that duo play towards the end, really impacted things. Onset, Complexity, only 3 places, 3 points away from W. Holy goodness.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always glad that someone else does the maths because it makes my life a lot more comfortable. But Complexity, again, a decent game from them. They got into, you know, some decent scuffles and they did all right in that game. But I think if you're looking down the leaderboards now and you go outside of that top 4, look how close the rest of the pack is. You want to talk about impactful games, not just TSM, who are on 26 points. Senior Service with that win are now joint with TSM on 26. If they have a big final game, you can leap up into that top 4. You can even overtake the likes of Sentinels W if you go off. This is going to be the perfect setup to what could be a banging game number 6.
Game number 6 for sure. Okay, Gaskin, question here for you. If we're 4, 5, and 6, I see some of these names that continue to come up in the late game. Talk to me a little bit about the CLXs of the world, the Charlotte Phoenixes, some of the sign me now, please. Oh my gosh.
Yes, please sign them. Otherwise, we have to continue to say, sign us, please. Got another kill. Just sign them and make our lives easier. Yeah, there's a few teams that are popping up. I mean, W is a team that we have to talk about as well. Maybe not your kind of poster boys when it comes to North American Apex Legends, but why not with how they've been performing? They were the real winners. As I said, the fact that the 3 teams that were above them all went out, they saw that in the kill feed, they played it patiently, and they picked up a top 2 placement. There are teams here who don't have the heavy hitters, but certainly have the consistency, and I think that maybe that could be down to maybe not having the pressure from fans, from commentators, from the community in general, and just they're allowed to play their own game, and that game is Apex Legends, a game that they love and they enjoy.
Well, you know what? There are so many things to talk about, but guess what? We don't have a lot of time to do that because we got to get into our next and final game. But first, you do have to take some time to go and enter our Lenovo Legion's ALGS Pro League giveaway for a chance to win a free Lenovo Legion gaming PC. Head over to twitter.com/Lenovo Legion for all the details. And hey, Prime Gaming members, listen on up. If you're a fan of what's coming for our lovely girl Watson over here, well, you're going to be excited to grab this exclusive Electric Royalty Bundle with an epic Watson skin and a shocking new look for that Bolt. The offer expires November 5th. Make sure you head over to gaming.amazon.com/Apex Legends for more detail. And make sure you check back each and every month to claim the latest for your legends. Always a great idea. Always a lot of fun. Always something to consider. And something else to consider, I'm just going to keep on going with this brainwave. Let's talk about the socials. Let's make sure you follow us. Oh, looks like we have one that did. Look at that. I got ahead of myself here.
Not me on an alt account, by the way. That's not me on an alt account. I'm just saying that looks like a burner account to me, Marks. I'm on to myself. I'm calling myself out.
Wow, excellent. This kind of play from Complexity is bad news for the rest of NA. The calculated aggression is an art form. Chef's kiss to Shiny Reptar and Monsoon, of course, 10 out of 10 fan experience. Yeah, Casnip, I 100% agree. Love seeing Sinus please pop off in the ALJ. Seeing rookies come in and disrupting the titans of comp always brings new hype. You know, Raza, you are not wrong, my friend. I am digging that. Okay, Sinus please. Scary good. Happy Halloween. I like that X Factor. I like that a lot. That's exactly what we think as well. That name really did. By the way, that name really does do the heavy lifting for that team, just as they do the heavy lifting in the lobby here, gents. Well, yeah, exactly.
I don't know if Dan's hat's got bigger or if his head's got smaller, but something's happened.
We've lost Dan. Well, guess what? Don't you worry, because we are going to go into a game number 6 right after this. Oh, God.
It is game 6 time of the NA Pro League here for week number 3, and we have seen a remarkable 5 games so far. The climb for TSM, the climb for Cloud9, you wonder, is that climb still happening or have they reached their summit, Vicky?
I mean, TSM had a great game, but as a duo, but nonetheless, you know what? You gotta give them credit where it's due. Snipe Down turned it to Hype Down, and Hal was the kill leader for the longest time at the very end there. They also were in a pretty good spot, but man, is it tough to be put into that situation. You know what I like to see? I like to see TSM playing their game without worrying about all that pressure, and I want to keep seeing that now as we move on to our final game. Senior Service, though, the team that won game number 5. This is the squad also that was in 19th place before that game 5, now tearing it up.
Yeah, they need to have another big game here, right? 26 points. They are right above, actually tied with TSM right now, but they have a win under their belt, so they're in 10th place overall over TSM. So we'll keep an eye on them dropping over in Skyhook, not too far, just across the mountain there from their friends at TSM, who are dropping over in Fragment East alongside Knights in Fragment West. So we'll keep a close eye on these squads. You know, Cloud9 needs another big game here, but really the story, let's be honest here, has been complexity. It's been Sentinels. And of course, it's been W, the team I talk about often. How could you not? Formerly My Little Phonies. They popped off an ALGS championship. So much fun to watch. They're returning to their ALGS championship form here, Vicky.
Oh yeah, I love seeing a lot of these squads pop off. Sinus Police, of course, another squad that has been performing so well. They had 3rd place in the second game with 9 kills, and in the 3rd game, they were in 4th with 13 kills. And now I really like the way that these circles have kind of been pulling off to the side, kind of getting a change of scenery, but it's still kind of on the southern side. But I wouldn't say just more north than what we've been used to.
Yeah, it's on the 50-yard line, right? Straight central, slightly north, and overall, well, it's above the landslide tunnel, which that's north zone to me. So we've gotten 4 out of 6 northern zones here. I think order has been restored from the EMEA madness where we saw 5 or 6 straight south zones. Meanwhile, I like what I saw right there from W. They rotated so fast from landslide, and they actually got a hold of some of the real estate just west of landslide in the very center of where this zone is going to be pulling. So they're in a really, really good spot here. Meanwhile, one team that is pretty far from zone, well, it's going to be Sentinels. They've been rotating pretty far all the way to the north side of the map almost every single game, and they've been doing well.
And they're hungry for this KP too. You can see them. They're moving away from the circle. They want to take this fight. They're pretty nicely looted. I like that gold rampage, but they are going to be able to take an off angle to see where this squad may try to rotate away from, trying to cut them off to the left.
Yeah, and that's one thing I will say. Sentinels, probably the most aggro team in all of Apex. I think you could arguably say that. Actually, probably objectively say that. Based on what we saw in week 1 for them, they were literally just flying at every team that they saw. They love taking these fights, especially these southern fights that are out of zone. They know every other team's going to be rotating into that zone north. So what that means is they're going to have a pretty clean and fair 3v3 at the team that drops launch site right south of them. I think it's going to be Charlotte Phoenix. We'll keep an eye on that. Sentinels hunting. Meanwhile, Astral is actually going to rotate fast and knock Fury from W. That's huge.
Steel doesn't miss. I like the way that he held the high ground over the beacon too. He knew that there was a squad below there that wanted to get that beacon information, and now not only they're running away with KP, but they clean up the squad. Phony out. It's gonna be Scissor Squad. Fury sucks. They're out of here. But we were actually just talking about this squad too. What are the chances?
Yeah, that's insane. That's actually insane that we saw such an aggressive play from Astral right there. Such an early rotate from W, but sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles. You get caught out. One player got caught. We didn't see what happened, but the early knock from Pistillo actually was all that was needed. And then they took their 3v2. When you have a numbers advantage like that, always fight and take that 3v2. You should not, at the pro level, lose those 3v2 fights. But that's obviously one thing you love about Apex, is you have the ability to make plays. That's why people like Nick Merckx, Dr. Lupo, Tim the Tat, and so many others have fallen in love with Apex, especially over the last 6 months after they started giving it a shot. And speaking of which, we got the Nick Merckx NFAM Gauntlet tomorrow. So this is not the end of competitive Apex this weekend. If you are a fan of competitive Apex, we're going to have a $50,000 tournament courtesy of EA and the MFAM tomorrow. Make sure to tune into that.
Yeah, and the Challenger circuit too on top of that. It's literally Apex all week long. You love to see it. It's not just about the Pro League here, and you can see why the Pro League is being closely followed. You have Sentinels playing as aggressive as possible. You highlight the fact that they were outside of circle for a bit, and even taking some shots at his teammates back. But the way that Sentinels try to play this, they actually just got reversed up here, because you see the squad actually just changed spots from where they were currently located, and now they have to be wary that they're going to get circle capped.
Yeah, this will be interesting here. Sentinels getting a little overzealous for that push, and sometimes what happens there is, you know, actually the fortunes flip as now they are being gate kept or circle kept, as Vicky said momentarily ago. And they're gonna have to try and push up here and see if they fight. If they can win and fight this, then actually they like these fights regardless. So something tells me they'll be just fine. They'll look to try and take this fight on their rotation through.
Also just crazy to note and highlight that W being out as the first squad in this last game is insane to think at the fact that this is a squad that was currently in second place after the 5th game. This is a squad that it finished in second in game number 5 with 6 kills. So now that they don't have a chance of redemption, we're looking at complexity. The squad that's been holding on to first place, they had the lead by 3 points, and now you can see them getting into position. It's Monsoon taking shots.
Yeah, complexity with the really, really fast rotation is going to come. We've seen, and I've been really impressed by how complexity has played all day long. A different complexity here. Their rotations have been much better, much faster. Their ability to recognize the opportunity to take 3v3 fights has been great. They've been playing near perfect so far. That's why you see them on top of the leaderboards going into game 6. But they haven't cemented themselves that first place spot yet. They got Sentinels right behind them, and Sentinels has a team right in front of them.
And they were able to move in here into this building. They're right back over to Lava Siphon where they have given up earlier on. And they're just holding that corner building. Still probably taking the same fight here, which is crazy because they've been putting in a lot of damage, but no overcommitment just yet.
Yep. Blue, one of the best Gibraltars in all of Apex, in my opinion. The fact that he's able to play Gibraltar, yet still put the damage and the kills that he does, it's just insane. Here comes the push. The scan's going to come through. That's the Bloodhound benefit. Nice job from Lou. Didn't get the damage he would have wanted there. Maybe a no-reg, but he's going to get some good shots in nonetheless. Going to knock one. Great job from Sentinels, and they will clean wipe this squad again. They've just had their number game after game. Moaners defeated by Sentinels.
That was so long here, but you could see the patience from Sentinels. Even though this is a hyper-aggressive squad, the way that they didn't want to overcommit, just plain positioning was so key here. And now they're not only going to be able to get this extra loot, but they're going to be able to have this high ground before making that rotation because the circle is closing in right behind them.
Yeah, it's great. Great situation for Sentinels here. Another 3 KP on the board. And this is a big game number 6 between Sentinels, between Complexity, because W, well, they were in second place. They're already out of this one. So it comes down to those two, the big two. Right behind them, though, is Sign Us Please. And as their org name says, as my friend, whoever that was, tweeted, could someone please sign this organization? Any esports orgs looking to enter in the Apex C and FaZe Clan, where you at? I'm telling you, these guys are well worth it. Sign Us Please has been looking great.
And it helps us, right, as casters. We don't have to constantly say that Sign Us Please is wrecking these lobbies here.
Exactly.
Hipster Onset and Axel Gaskin basically covered that, and they worded it perfectly. That's why they're so consistent. And now Estro Esports are still holding this location. They got the beacon right next to them, so they don't really have to give it up, and they can take a nice position on the high ground on top of those rocks to kind of bait out any of the squads that want to also use that beacon.
Yeah, for anyone that's either new to Apex or maybe curious as to when we say edge fighting teams versus early rotate teams, this is essentially the definition. How Sentinels is playing this lobby. When you say an edge fighting team, that's a team that likes to play really, really slow on the edge of the ring, farm and take as many 3v3 fights as they can because you don't have to worry about anyone coming behind you. Why? Because the zone's behind you. And Sentinels is doing exactly that. One of the best edge fighting teams in North America, and it shows.
It shows you also the different types of playstyle that we get to witness within these lobbies. From playing extremely aggressive to playing the circle and passive-aggressive, even taking those shots. Looking at a team like Team Liquid now, holding 2 gold Evos. The fun still on the fuse. They've been able to get a lot out of this, but what's really interesting is the way that Team Liquid has played out this composition. They're calling out another squad who may be right in front of them before they decide to make their next move.
Yeah, and Team Liquid running a very interesting team comp, as we've talked about earlier. Speaking of which, we got Escape, the new season of Apex Legends, coming soon, my friends. Ash is going to shake up the competitive meta significantly. You already hear Albert Lilly and many others saying Ash might replace Wraith in most team comps. The longest lasting legend in Apex competitive meta is Wraith since day one. Might come to an end here with Ash. It's going to be interesting to see how that changes. I'm excited for Escape. The new map looks amazing. Ash looks amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I think across the board, it might be one of the best, if not the best season we've seen yet. Meanwhile, the team that likes to shake things up in terms of legend meta, it's Team Liquid. Let's go ahead and jump into a listen with them.
They're low ground, first floor.
North isn't moving either. I don't know if there's anyone in here. I'm gonna scout it.
He just shot me through the window. 69, 80.
Healing.
He's peeking second floor, Valk.
We should take this building. Better rotate from there.
Okay.
They might still be on second.
I'm just peeking. We're good.
Yeah.
I'm just leaving my barrels in that one in case they try something.
I don't see anything on the north rotate yet. Everyone's just making or waiting for us to make a play.
Why is that guy charge rifling us?
Why is that guy? Sync just died from the, or they just died from the northeast.
They must have just tried rotating through countdown.
Yeah.
Just beacon knowledge. So it's probably just hard pulling down.
Probably. Worst case, we play here next.
Someone's out there. They're far.
There's got to be people rotating around, right?
I think we only have this one team, probably two teams ratting.
Is there a team in there?
A team under bridge. Yeah, there's a team in there.
In 100% in flat? Oh,
All
we have
right.
a team right here, rotating. Dock 28.
I think they're dropping. They're going low.
Give me 40. Give me 40
they're going
again.
low. Stop.
I can still see him.
Always fun to listen in with Team Liquid, one of those analytical teams in all of Apex. Meanwhile, we're going to switch on over to Complexity, currently vying to hold on to that first place spot, and in a pretty good spot to do that with this quick rotation. It's a landmine of caustic gas, as you see here.
Yeah, he basically made it an external wall for themselves to work off of. Astral Esports has been on a roll, though, for this final game. They're still in the same spot that they have started the game with, where they found their first spot, or rather their first fight, and they feel comfortable. They're wavering off another squad that's moving into that direction, and they're still camping out that beacon, which is smart here, because it's denying information for a lot of these other squads that want to make that last-minute positioning roll.
Meanwhile, back over with Sentinels. We see them playing Octane. As we talked about earlier, just speculation, but Octane might be another one of those legends that we see go bye-bye in terms of competitive Apex meta with the addition of Ash replacing Octane. Obviously, this is a Wraithless team, but in this comp, for example, I think you'd see Bloodhound, Gibraltar stay. You'd see Ash, obviously. Reason being, you need a rotator legend. You need a legend who can get intel, who can rotate for you. Ash's ultimate ability and ability to set up a one-way portal obviously does that. Meanwhile, jumping on board with Knights, they find themselves over in Countdown. They rotated from Fragment West, and they find themselves going wide left here on this rotation.
They're outside a circle, and they got Blue Evo Shield. They see another squad over in the distance, and that's what they wanted to check out. They got their information, and so they're actually just going to back off, noting that it's just better for them to go for this longer rotation, but they've been able to pick up 2 hostiles in the area. It's going to be Guild with the scan. It's nice to know he has the Beast of a Hunt, too, if they want those consistent scans, but they're just getting some intel before making that decision.
Let's explore this way.
Yeah, keep in mind, Knights currently in 7th place with 30 points. This is a must-perform game. Meanwhile, let's check in with TSM here as you see them playing slight edge overall. And they're obviously going to be in zone in a decent spot, but not necessarily finding a really good defensive location where they rotated to. This is a fairly open end game. Look at this circle here. Not a whole lot of cover, so expect insanity on these rotations. Expect Ring 4 to 5, a lot of teams to get eliminated as Astral continues to just take out player after player.
Ew, yeah, it's pulling all the way over to the open ground between staging and landside. That's going to be so chaotic. Knights fighting this fight, wanted to go for this longer rotation, but Circle 3 is closing in 50 seconds, and Astral Esports are still racking up kills. We got Halipendon, who's actually the kill leader in this situation, and Sentinels now are going to be Circle keeping them in the process.
Yeah, the kill leader for now, because guess who's going to take that? It's going to be Sentinels, who does it again. They hear noise, which means they see red. They're like smelling blood, and they're going to come through and take out all of Astral out of this one. Meanwhile, Knights, we said they have to perform here. Well, they're going to do it against Senior Service, our winners from last game. They find 2 from Senior Service. Only 15 squads remain. That is a good start if you're a fan of the Pittsburgh Knights.
Absolutely, and they have so much to work with. A redeploy coming out from a squad nearby. Knights not in circle just yet, but still winning this fight, looking a lot better in terms of loot. They're going to be very happy with that, and they do know that's possibly TSM taking shots at them across from landslide.
Yeah, well, the Pittsburgh Steelers got a win earlier. Pittsburgh Knights try to do it for the black and gold as well. We'll see how they will wrap up here. Meanwhile, Sign Us, please. This is big. They're currently in 4th place with 47 points. They're down to 2. Wicked, Synced duo out. Synced has gray shields. Must have just gotten revived or something. It is looking bleak right now for Sign Us, please.
This is a squad who is in 4th place right now in the overall leaderboards for the day, and they've lost Tempest, the player who was popping off earlier. Yeah, it's only a matter of time. TSM knew in that situation. They're taking shots at literally everybody up ahead. We saw them taking shots at Knights, now cleaning up the squad here. Sign Us, please. They drop down. TSM looking a lot better as the games have progressed throughout the day.
Yeah, and is that not just the TSM special? That's like their mode of operation.
True.
Start slow, finish strong. And that's why you can't count them out. I see so many people, so many haters, so many TSM haters. It's insane in chat that all of a sudden TSM has a bad game or two. They start going off. Meanwhile, TSM just continues to perform here in these late games. As I say that, nice grenade from Snipe Down. I think that was quite the Kobe. He connects with the nade on Asura. We didn't see exactly how that happened. They're not done yet.
Ooh.
TSM continues to frag Imperial Hal, of course, the tip of the spear as Wraith.
I love the follow-up from there, right there. And you saw he was one, so he was able to back off. They immediately turned their attention right behind them, noting that there's another squad right there. So the way that they're able to micromanage a lot of this information has been superior. And Complexity, who haven't really been in the action so much this final game, they want to maintain their lead. They're going in for a reposition with the redeploy, which could be risky, especially with 11 squads left.
Yeah, it could be a little risky. High risk, high reward. You see these Valcolts sometimes does not work. Seems to be a little bit like a 50-50 in these late game rotations. But the Complexity's going to find a nice trailer in circle. And now with that caustic gas, they're going to be chilling. I like how Complexity's playing this. They're in first place right now by a lot. All they have to do is secure a top 3 finish with Sinus Please out, with W out. They just got to survive, stay alive, and they should be able to hold on to a first place finish. But they got Sentinels clawing behind them. They were down by 7 points. They already have 6 kills. Sentinels is firing off right now.
And they have the high ground. They get a little angle right here over that squad who is just stuck inside the truck. Sentinels having this position is going to be so lethal. And with the beamage with the L-Star too, he's got the 2x4, so he's got all the sight down there.
Yeah, and the fact that Sentinels is able to play edge, late rotate, and still get God Spot in this late game is ridiculous. How do they do it? I don't know. But let's find out. Let's jump into a listening with Sentinels.
Yeah.
We just need to hard bully all of the low ground.
Yeah, we gotta be careful with this right team though, because they're like doing some dumb shit.
Actually, I'm gonna jump. These guys are like staring at me.
Yeah, come on, shoot for cuss, Lou, shoot for cuss.
That's bad, that's bad. Yeah, I think he's a triple tank.
Ooh.
Running over.
Yeah, we just need to get here and get kills on our left side. There's so many fucking teams here.
We need to shoot for crust, bro.
Running over.
Can't really see.
Alright, he's here, he's here, he's here.
Mirror. Octane. When zone's a little... Oh, there.
That team went
I'm gonna need the balcony when zone's close.
RB? I don't know.
Can you scan it?
They're still behind us, all 3 behind us. Arcing us, careful.
Watch it, back up. We just eat it.
Look at the balcony, look at the balcony. Oh, there.
There's another team, they're gonna fight.
He's looking at us, I'm batting.
If we get naded...
I shit on them. Just shield. We can't stay up here.
Do we drop? Can we
Nade
drop
them, yeah, we
or
got
no?
them.
I don't have nades.
They're in the back.
Drop down. Come to me. I'm bubbling up on this, alright?
Kill these kids.
Yeah, we can kill them.
I'm going to the other window.
I cracked one. Cracked another.
Hand one. Give me that.
Don't go down. Just chill.
Oh, I'm getting shot in the back. I have to get
inside. All dead.
Grabbing the somersault. Yeah. Medkitting.
At the back.
Alright, we're chilling. We're gonna end up taking the, I know exactly where we play. We're just gonna play on the high ground here. Yep.
Get nades.
Alright, I'm gonna start looking around and shit. No one's focusing us.
I need a shotgun ammo bad.
Scanning
oh, fuck. It's gonna be so hard getting up on that hill, bro.
Do we just swing out and just fucking triple pad or what?
I don't know. We need to start making space, though.
Right here.
I'm not sure.
And Sentinels continues to do Sentinels things, taking a complete and easy free wipe of the whole team. Meanwhile, TSM is getting a few kills as well. We take a look at the screen here. We have 6 teams remaining, and look at the names: Sentinels, Complexity, TSM, alongside E8, Absolute Monarchy, and Charlotte Phoenix. It is going to be a star-studded finish.
TSM tearing through this final game. Better late than never, as I always say. If you get that invite late, as long as you're there, it's always a party if you're TSM. And Rep's also the kill leader out here, getting these follow-ups from the rest of the squad. They're making this rotation on the low ground. Could be a little risky, but I like the comms that we heard from Sentinels. They're even talking about how difficult it's going to be to try to take that high ground.
Yeah. And TSM was my prediction today. I wanted to manifest the performance. Not going to lie, I was a little nervous. I was shaken after games 1 and 2, but TSM's come true here in games 5 and 6, popping off right now with the potential for a 25+ kill and point game. Sorry, point game, not kill game. TSM could potentially break into the top 3 here. They got to get a first place finish, and they got to continue to frag.
The Complexity right now just stuck in this truck. They are very happy with this position. They note that there is a squad that's had their sights on them for a while, but they're fighting, so this is the opportunity for them to move in. Sentinels, not too sure if they know who's right underneath them, but look how quickly they are wrapping up this fight.
Sedox is playing out of his mind right now, not missing shots with the Eve 8, but Complexity is going to come through in third party. It is Lou, his former teammates in Complexity, who are going to shut down Sentinels. So that is it. Goodbye, Sentinels. Complexity secures their spot in first place with that and an opportunity to still win it. TSM still alive, though.
Look how much KP Complexity has, though. With their rotation, playing patiently, finding the opportunity. They were getting scanned that entire time, and he still found the time to third party for that fight. Amazing cleanup right there. Some extra points going in their pocket. They won not just 2 games today, Fallout, but now they're wrapping up so much kills for this final game.
Yeah. Talk about securing your own fate. Is Complexity by beating the only team that's close to beating you. It's Sentinels, who's been popping off this game. They shut them down. You wonder, did they get enough kills? Probably not. Meanwhile, we have 4 squads remaining. TSM on low ground, Complexity above them on high ground. So it might come down to an insane drop finish from Complexity in this late game. But keep in mind, there's still 2 other teams. Actually, no, it's not Complexity that's on those tracks. It's another team. Complexity's nearby. So expect Complexity to fight that team on high ground. TSM to just wait and watch it all happen in the kill feed. And this third team, who's a little bit further away, I'm not sure. It's actually going to be Stomps and Sleepy Panda, Absolute Monarchy. Just going to hopefully let the third party happen.
See what they do right now, especially since half of this lobby right now is also on the high ground. Complexity having the pristine position on this high ground too, so they have line of sight of a lot of the action happening right underneath them. I don't want to give this up here. You could see the way the Monsoon is positioned. He hears the fights going on. He wants to see if he can take one from right underneath one of these competitors.
Yeah, and TSM's going to knock 2. That's massive. So we have a 3-stacked finish. Complexity on high ground. We got teams on mid ground. We got TSM on low ground. It looks like TSM's going to wipe the squad completely here. Will they have a chance to reset, though? Because this could be a third-party opportunity, but no. Neither team wants to third-party that because then they are going to get third-partied. So wise decision to let TSM do their thing on the low ground here, and then we're going to have a reset. We're going to have a clean 3v3v3 to close this out.
Ooh, thinking here, I believe that's Absolute Monarchy. TSM and Complexity still here. See Reptar just trying to get into a position. I like how they're not giving this up. They want to maintain this high ground. They don't want to drop. They don't want to give the opportunity for TSM to just have free range over shooting them in their line of sight.
Final round is closing. 50 seconds left in this game, and it's going to be Reptar absolutely beaming TSM on low. Is that the break of the ice to enter? No. TSM will heal back up. Another reset.
Ooh, they do get one down, though, on TSM. It's Snipe Down, Sleepy Panda. Probably allowing Complexity to just see all this action. Look at this. It's just a movie theater. You grab the popcorn. Complexity is sitting in the front row, and they're cleaning up.
Absolute carnage right now for Complexity. They are not missing. Easy peasy for them as they're going to clean up and secure their 3rd win of the day. But no, it's Hal still alive. Hal is still alive. He snuck away to high ground. He took out 1. Hal's left in the 1v2.
Oh my gosh, and he's Wraith too at the same time. He can just delay the inevitable. He can also just press Q. What is going on? I cannot believe what I'm seeing. This is the final game, and this is how you end it?
Genius finish from Hal. He's going to Wraith portal his way. It's going to be a heal off to finish. Hal enters a portal. The other team does not have a Wraith, and TSM wins. TSM wins. Are you kidding me?
You called it. You called it. You said you had faith in TSM, and that's exactly why they were the ones that win at the very end. They heard everybody talking all that trash. No matter what, no matter how grim the situation looked, TSM somehow always finds a way.
You thought it was over. You thought that Complexity was just going to clean up like you see them do, like you see most teams do in that third party. But Hal sneaks away. Such a heads-up play, 3,000 IQ for Imperial Hal to sneak to high ground, to survive, and to recognize he still has his portal. Oh my God, only in Apex Legends. Only in Apex Legends. Insane.
Only Wraith could do that, by the way. If he was anybody else, that was insane. Complexity had the superior position. They saw an opportunity happen right below them. They knew that they could see easy KP for them. They went in for the third party. But where was Hal? Where was Hal? He was a slight high ground above them. And they secure 10 kills. And they take the final game. Wow. What a TSM way to close out the day.
I'm at a loss for words at that finish. I can't even fathom. I would die to be able to hear the comms of Complexity, the panic the fear that entered their Discord channel as they recognized, wait a minute, Hal is bamboozling us. Hal is on high ground, and there's nothing we can do about it because he's Wraith and we're not.
What do you do in that situation? You look for Hal, but they didn't know where he was. He was sneaking about right on top of them. He said, all right, Rep, Snipe, you guys could drop down real quick. I'm just gonna stay here, let them do whatever they need to do. But look at this, 4 kills, 1,500 damage in favor for Hal. I love the way that this squad performed better and better as the day progressed. It started with Game 5, I feel like. That's where they started getting that momentum, and Hal started feeling the rhythm of the games better.
Ridiculous. And what a performance, too, for Hal. 1.5k damage. Reps is the kill leader of the lobby with 5 kills as Gibraltar, by the way. Reps doing his thing. I said earlier, hey, lose one of the best Gibraltar players. Reps is trying to say, Fallout, relax, brother. I think Reps is right there with Lou as a great Gibraltar player. But nonetheless, all Hal, all day in that late game. That was a ridiculous finish. I can't wait to see these overall standings because a 22-point game from TSM is insane. That puts them in the top 5, I think. Gosh, I can't wait to bring Kate back to the desk here so we can see these overall standings. We can talk about it because what a finish that was, Kate.
Heal up, heal up, heal up. Before we get going into the rest of the match, real quick Fallout, for those who are new, I want you to really quick explain to us the heal off and how it is that Hal really did what he did there at the end, because it's something we don't get to see every day.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I lost my mind. I lost my headband here. Yeah, so here's what happened. Complexity. Third to the fight, third party, easy opportunity to clean up that fight. But what happened was, as that's happening, Hal has the wherewithal to say, you know what? I'm actually going to completely avoid this fight, go on high ground, and we'll take a minute to look at the replay overall in Game 6. Then when we get back to that moment, I'll finish that thought. But in the end, really what it came down to, Hal had Wraith and had the ability to use a Wraith portal, Wraith's ultimate ability to basically survive and outlast Complexity. He didn't have a Wraith, and all they could do is try to heal, which obviously you're not going to be able to do in the last ring, which does so much damage to you. So that's essentially what happened. We'll see that in the replay later on. But early game here, Vicky, it was Sentinels that was just farming.
Yeah, Sentinels really putting in a lot of work. We also noted their positioning when they made those rotations. We heard them in the comms. They were worried about the high ground being contested, but what they didn't know was that you have to see what Sentinels was positioned in comparison to Complexity that had that low ground and they were playing so close the entire time. That was their game. That was Complexity's game right there. But TSM, again, just one step ahead. Despite Sentinel going down to Complexity and Complexity playing that last game so patiently, TSM, Hal really outplayed this squad at the end.
And take a look here. This is it. Complexity on low ground. Look at them. Looking everywhere, realizing, wait, Hal's above us. Valkyrie tries to go on high ground, and guess who shuts it down? Hal has to kill Valkyrie there. If Hal does not kill Valkyrie, he loses, and no one else can get up there. It's impossible for anyone else to get up. Look at them just desperately launching gas sinisters, trying to do anything possible, and Hal is just laughing from the high ground. We get to see it from his point of view. Melts the Valk, and then uses his portal. So take a look here. This is where I mentioned there's no way you could heal in this late game circle. The ring is too damaging, so this is all you can do. You can Wraith portal, you could use Wraith's Q into the void to survive, and then you just hop in that portal and you just laugh while your opponents melt below you. Look at this. What a finish.
I can only imagine what he was thinking, looking at the kill feed and also counting the fact that they were dropping like 5s one by one. He was like, it's just a matter of time. Come on, you already know what's gonna be the result here.
Oh man, I'll tell you something. Hal thinking outside the box / outside and inside the circle. No circle can contain him, I think is the way we'd like to call it here right now. And we are going to take a look at how exactly the math has brought us. Oh my goodness, Vicky, Complexity. Listen, TSM up 7 places. That has to be alongside Complexity's 76 points. Woo!
Wow, 76. Can we look at the gap between first and second? Even though Sentinels was playing super aggressive, and because W was that first squad to drop in that last game, they fell down to 3rd place, but 7 spots in favor for TSM. They move all the way up to 4th place, despite having a rather rough start to the day.
Yeah, and keep in mind here as well, because TSM fragged out, they got more kills than Sinus Please, who also had a win. The first tiebreaker is wins. The second tiebreaker is kills. TSM had more kills. They fragged out. They get 4th place, which gets them an additional 2 points in the Pro League standings. I mean, that is significant.
Significant is the word. And I want to say also, one of the things, so while you all are doing an incredible job casting, it's sort of my job to take that bird's eye view of everything, right? And I feel like this last match was, we had Complexity, we had Sentinels going back and forth. TSM come to win it out, but let's be clear, Sentinels with 11 kills, Complexity with 9. That is nothing, as I say, to shake a stick at. But let's talk about this, Fallout. This second page, the Dare to Be Great scenarios are seriously great here, especially since we are through round number 3 of this double round robin format.
Yeah, and I think these standings are incorrect. TSM had 9 points coming in and just got themselves at least 3 or 4 points, so they should be in the top 10. They should be a little bit higher in the overall standings. But nonetheless, Esports Arena, Space Station, NRG, Sentinels, Cloud9 looking great. Complexity with a massive game, as we are going to take a look at some updated standings here. Actually, the second page of standings here, Absolute Monarchy in 21st place with 5 points.
There it is indeed, absolutely, yeah, and we will take a look and see what that math does here. But Senior Service also having a great game. I love these. I will say this, and Vicky, Fall, you guys did such an incredible job, and so did our ops team about keeping track of so many of these teams. Those middle of the ground team. Middle of the road is not the right word, because so many times you can't sleep on any of these teams is my point. And I want to ask real quick if we want to highlight some of those teams that maybe didn't get the W, maybe didn't get the highest kill count, but were consistently showcasing how scary this lobby can be. Vicky, let's start with you here.
Honestly, I'm thinking about either CLX or Sinus Police, although Sinus Police had so many good kill games. I just want to highlight the way that Sinus Police played this entire lobby all day. We also were talking about the fact that this lobby is extremely stacked for the talent that we were able to see bring out their best today, but they still were able to keep up. They were, I believe, in 4th place right before that final game, and they still were able to maintain that consistency. They had gone from, I believe, 3rd to 4th place after game 2 and game 3. And so looking at the way they performed, and then also looking at the mentality reset from TSM and how they went to approach those final games, your comfort zone. Your comfort zone is beautiful when you have those high-stake competitions happening in front of you. You have nerves in these competitions that a lot of players that only really play ranked don't understand. These tournaments are on a different level, and you have a lot of pressure on your shoulders on top of that.
Yeah, for me, Kate, it's Cloud9. Cloud9 didn't get the performance they wanted. I felt like they W-keyed a little too much, a little too aggressive, ate a few too many teams, put themselves in some bad spots. So they'll obviously go back to the drawing board here. But the biggest thing for me overall is teams like 100 Thieves that haven't been performing well. We're 3 weeks in. This is the halfway point for the Pro League. You have to show up now or never. And guess what? We got some season changes coming. We got a meta shift completely about to turn things around. So great opportunity now. That's what makes this Pro League so interesting. It's an evolution over 6 weeks with 12 matches. These next three weeks, I think, are going to be crazy. And we have a little bit of a break, too, in between seasons.
We do. And speaking of opportunities, we've been talking about the opportunities that these teams have been showcasing to us and taking advantage of throughout our lobby here today. But let's talk about the players within them, which means it's time to talk about Monster MVP segment. Now, this Monster MVP segment means we get to talk about the top players coming at you. And John, Mr. Fallout, Julius Fallout himself, I want you to start us off. Who had your heart today?
Yeah, for me, it was Senox. Not even a question. I think he was up there as one of the kill leaders of the entire lobby, but this man absolutely fragged, playing so incredibly well all day long. From an individual skill perspective, you saw Sentinels obviously perform as a team. They do a remarkable job, but it was really Senox as the tip of the spear, playing as their kind of rotator flex legend, who was able to always break ice, to initiate fights as Octane. He just melted. You see it on screen. One of the most skillful individual players who I don't think gets enough recognition. Obviously, Lou has joined this team, and the talk's been about Lou, but Senox is the one that week in and week out continues to frag. And for me, he was a standout player for sure. I mean, I love this overall discussion week in, week out of who the Monster MVP is going to be at the end of the season when that award is given. But this week, it's Senox, in my opinion, popping off. I don't know what you think.
Honestly, thinking about the players that we saw pop off today, I know that we noted that TSM popped off by the end of the day with Snipedown doing his best, Howl, of course, being kill leader for that 5th game. But from the very beginning, not only with the confidence, but the way that they delivered, I have to go with Monsoon. After that first game and the Caustic plays, making up some makeshift cover with those barrels, and then the comms coming in, the confidence. I love to see that from a lot of our players. And his positioning was amazing too. The way that he was able to clutch out a lot of these fights, win some of these games in help with the rest of Complexity, that was really good synergy. You could tell that the rest of Complexity feel very comfortable, including a lot of these players just building up that synergy with some time. But Monsoon, again, I have to highlight that he's probably been my favorite player to watch today.
Yeah, Monsoon's been playing remarkably well. That's for sure. You got to give a lot of credit to this guy. Obviously, the IGL of this squad. And while IGLing, he's also making plays left, right, and center. I think he's one of those players you got to give a lot of kudos to. We had a big discussion on Twitter about Sweet Dreams, about Imperial Hal as IGLs that also perform in frag. And Monsoon wasn't brought up in that discussion. I think should have been. I'm a little bit rinsed on my end, and I have brought him up because he certainly is one of those players that can perform at a high level while fragging. My big question coming in today was consistency, and he answered me. He played incredibly well. My hat goes off to Monsoon.
Absolutely. Dan Gaskin's hat goes off for all of us to Monsoon for sure. Well, that has been our Monster MVP segment. And it's always good to give and highlight these players. You both have done an incredible job, not just casting, of course, and a big thank you to Onset and Gaskin for casting as well, but really to highlight some of these key plays, some of these impactful plays, whether they're at the beginning, the middle, or the end of our matches. And as we all know, the impact can be felt many minutes, many rounds after individual plays. But I want to real quick ask, Fallout, let's start with you. I would love to know, as we listen in, we do some incredible listen-ins. What have you gleaned from some of those listen-ins on some of these teams, the Sentinels, the TSMs, the Complexities of the world? Anything that you'd like to share that I think could be interesting or useful for fans going forward?
Yeah, absolutely. I love doing these listens, especially with the likes of teams like Complexity, who really take this game to a whole new level with their mindset, their mentality, the way they break things down. It's next level. A couple things in particular, the way that they approach rotations and the way that they approach opportunities to take spots. So there's a couple words that are used, things like this is free, this is not free, this is God spot. Finding those opportunities and finding those rotations and hearing how pro players kind of think about rotations is probably the thing that I glean the most from these listens, Kate.
Vicky, anything from you, my dear?
Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna definitely echo Fallout right there. Being able to maintain your cool while you're under heavy pressure, especially when you're in the middle of rotating, is key here. And listening to a lot of these teams make that communication and kind of understanding why it seems so frantic when in reality it's so important to repeat a lot of those calls highlights that no matter what, no matter if you repeat it once, twice, or even 5 times, it's just a matter of getting that direct call on board so that way everyone could hear it in the middle of the chaos. And I really like how a lot of these squads keep their cool while also planning 3 steps ahead.
Oh man, well, one of those people that has definitely kept their cool while planning as many steps as I could potentially even see being a thing is someone we know and love, and certainly someone that has been on the lips of the 2 people right in front of us in the dropship, Monsoon! And for that, we go over to Onset, who's got the man himself.
I'm here. I'm with Monsoon. The arms are going. Let's go, Mon. I'm getting there as well. Good? Let's go, Mon. Come on. That's the energy I want. Because if you didn't know, Complexity, first place, 76 points. What went so right for you guys today?
Well, after a first rocky couple weeks, we decided to swap up the team comp and go back to Epi for our drop spot. And we've noticed that, the lobbies aren't, grand finals as before, so there's a little bit of leeway in for good spots in center zone that we can get to, especially with Valkyrie. Before it was particularly hard because of all the south zones and not having that leapfrog over the teams, but now that we have that, the Valkyrie, it's been pretty good for us, especially with Caustic, to be able to hold down the builds.
Awesome stuff, Mon. Well, my next question to you, as you put a smile on my face always, by the way. And by the way, Mon, I'm getting this relayed to me because I can't hear you directly, but don't worry, I am getting your answers. I'm just a little bit behind, okay?
No
so
worries.
Let's talk about the change in attitude for you guys. And I use that phrase without any kind of, shade being thrown at you guys, but you did avoid scrims. You kind of decided that you were going to approach Apex Legends competitive a little bit differently to some of the other teams. That attitude changed before this Pro League season. You've been scrimming, you've been playing every single tournament. Do you think that's helped rediscover that chemistry for you guys?
1,000,000%. I mean, after championships, we were kind of just like heartbroken, completely heartbroken. Sucks to go from, #1 ALGS points to, not even making the biggest tournament ever. So we decided with Pro League and LANs coming up that we were just going to give it our all so we don't regret anything in the future and make it work because we know we're capable and that we can do it. We just got to stay on top of ourselves, keep healthy mental attitudes, and above all else, just keep enjoying what we're doing. So it's been working pretty good so far, and we look to keep it up.
Another question that I have for you, Mon, sorry to jump in there, is you have changes from week to week with the lobbies, right? You have new teams approaching. How do you guys prepare for that? Because it's difficult to do, right? You have 10 teams coming in and out of lobbies. You're playing against different comps. You're playing against different teams who play in different styles. Are you conscious of that? Do you approach each lobby separately and kind of have a plan for the 20 teams that you're playing?
Totally. I can't delve too much into like our secret techniques, but I mean, the VODs are available. We have the time to study every team, all the rotations, all the zones and stuff like that. And from at that point, we focus on the teams around us and play our game. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Well, my final question for you. So we have a new season coming up, and I'm going to let you celebrate after this. Everyone's got a smile on their face about it. My question is, what change are you most looking forward to, and why is it the nerf to the L-Star?
Ooh, man, the L-Star. Gosh, it's the L-Star, and honestly, because that thing is an actual laser Star Wars weapon, man. People can be sitting on a head glitch from 1,000,000 miles away. You can't even see their head, but they'd be hitting you for 120, 130 like it's nothing. Don't even get to reload. Like, I'm just excited for that gun to be gone, that's for sure. I mean, even... It'll probably still be played, but just not as, frequently and dominant, I suppose. But yeah, that's it,
well, Mon,
to be honest.
You know what, mate? I'm going to let you go because I think you guys deserve to celebrate. It's been wonderful to watch you play today. You have returned to form, complexity back on top. It was wonderful.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to throw it back to the desk right now to Kate because, as I say, you guys deserve to go and celebrate. So have a good night, my friend.
Woo! Thanks, Onset. Appreciate you. And cheers, everybody.
Oh, come on. That guy, Monsoon, puts a smile on my face, Fallout. A smile on my face.
One of my favorite humans, not only in Apex, but in all of gaming in general. A remarkable human. For those that don't know, Monsoon's story was homeless before Apex Legends. Obviously had a lot of struggles early on in his young adulthood. And since then, since Apex has come out, it changed his life. And he's just one of the most intelligent, remarkable individuals. For him to have turned his career into what it's become is just an amazing story. A great individual. Highly recommend you follow him on Twitter. Highly recommend you become a fan of Monsoon.
Monsoon is definitely my favorite player to watch right now. That was incredible. His attitude too, you could see the passion radiating after the interview. You saw how happy he was, and that really highlights the feelings of these players when they're elevated, when they are performing to their best, and you could see them get the results that they work so hard for.
Yes, you can, and it's a beautiful thing to watch, both in and out of those lobbies. Well, something
I'm
that
a little bummed though. I would have loved to have gotten his take on what the hell happened in game number 6. Monsoon, can you please let us know on Twitter? Please let me know ASAP what happened from your perspective in game 6. But that's the only thing I got.
Hey, there it is. The guy who said the guy who said that he was going to go against what he thought was right, and here he is pulling it out on top. Axel Gaskin bringing in, not just, can I just say this right now? He didn't just win our talent predictions. Let's be clear. I'm pretty sure he also won the costume game. He's right up there with you there, Vicky. He's right up there with you.
Yeah, I have to contest him, just the way that he's been able to change it to different outfits. I mean, is he a diddle in real life? He could just mold himself into all these different personas, including a rock star. I mean, come on, how do I compete with that?
I mean, there's no way. I get you for sure. Well, hey, listen, you don't have to compete to watch us. As Fallout said, and Vicky, there are a lot more Apex happening this week, but let's talk about the next time you'll see the ALGS in progress. That will be November the 19th. Mark your calendars, gang. The 19th, 10 a.m. Eastern. If you're keeping track of the Pacific Coast, that's 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. BST over there in Britain. And that is going to be the next time you'll see the ALGS facing off. But you know what? That means that it's time for us to take these faces off, because I have makeup on that makes me look like a cat while I'm holding a small dog. Either way, I want to say a huge thank you to our casters, to our crew, and to the players for making this such an incredible day of Apex. Until next time, we'll see you later.